The Excise Duty Act, 2002. Date of Royal Assent and publication January 30, 2002, October 17, 2058, Amending Acts, 1. The Republic Strengthening and Some Nepal Laws Amendment Act, 2010, 2066, 1-2. Some Nepal Laws Amendment Act, 2016, 2072, 3. Some Nepal Laws Amendment, Consolidation, Adjustment, and Repeal Act, 2017, 2074, 2-4. The Financial Act, 2018, 2075, 5. The Financial Act, 2019, 2076, 6. The Financial Act, 2020, 2077, 7. The Financial Act, 2021, 2078, date of authentication and publication January 21, 2010, October 7, 2066, February 25, 2016, November 13, 2072, October 16, 2017, June 30, 2074, July 16, 2018, 2075-03.32, July 15, 2019, March 30, 2076, June 29, 2020, March 15, 2077, September 29, 2021, June 13, 2078, Act No. 17 of the year 2058, 2002, 3. An Act to provide for amendment and consolidation of laws relating to excise duty preamble, whereas, it is expedient to make timely, amend and consolidate laws on imposition and collection of excise duty on the goods. 1. This Act came into force on May 28, 2008. 2. This Act came into force on August 17, 2018. 3. Removed by the Republic Strengthening and Some Nepal Laws Amendment Act, 2010. 1. Manufactured in or imported into, or the services delivered in, for Nepal in order to enhance revenue mobilization by making effective the process of collecting revenue required for economic development of the country, now, therefore, be it enacted by Parliament in the first year of reign of His Majesty King Gyanendra Bikram Shah Dev. 1. Short title and commencement. 1. This Act may be cited as the Excise Duty Act, 2058, 2002. 2. It shall come into force at once. 2. Definitions, unless the subject or the context otherwise requires, in this Act, a. Goods or service subject to excise duty means any goods or services subject to the excise duty pursuant to this Act or other prevailing laws. A1. Excise duty stamp means the stamp having security mark in goods applicable for excise duty used in a format as prescribed by the Department, and the term also includes the security mark to be provided through electronic means or any other symbol marks as prescribed by the Department. B. Goods means both kinds of movable and immovable property. C. Service means anything except goods. 4. Removed by the Republic Strengthening and Some Nepal Laws Amendment Act, 2010. 2. D. Enterprise means a firm, company, or body established under the prevailing law with objective to manufacture, import, store or sell and distribute such goods or deliver such services as are subject to excise duty. E. License means a license issued pursuant to Section 9. F. Excise duty officer means any officer designated by the Government of Nepal for the purposes of this Act. 5. G. Production means the manufacturing, refining, making or preparing any goods subject to excise duty. H. Manufacturer means a person, firm, company, or body licensed to manufacture any goods subject to excise duty, and this term also includes a person, firm, company, or body who delivers any service subject to excise duty. 6. H1. Tobacco product means tobacco or tobacco product mixed smoking, chewing, betel spices to be kept in mouth, betel quid, chewing betel, or similar other materials, and this term also includes cigarette, bidi, and cigar. I. Person means any person, enterprise, association, partnership firm, cooperative, joint venture, director, proprietor and chief representative or agent of a trust or fund, and this term also includes any entity which 5 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 6 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 3 manufactures or imports and sells and distributes in any manner any goods or service subject to excise duty with or without any motive for profit making, or a branch or sub-branch or similar place of transaction of such an entity. 7. J. Factory price means the price fixed with summation of the costs of production of such goods and profit of the enterprise only without adding excise duty or other tax to the goods subject to excise duty. K. Price means 1. Factory price, in the case of goods to be manufactured. 2. Price as per the invoice, in the case of service. 8. 3. Price fixed as per clause B of subsection 1 of section 7, in the case of any goods to be imported. L. Import means the importation of any goods subject to excise duty into Nepal 9. From a foreign country in accordance with the prevailing law. M. Invoice means a bill, receipt, slip, or voucher indicating the price issued pursuant to this act. N. Department means the department specified by the government of Nepal for purposes of this act. 7 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 8 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 9 removed by the Republic Strengthening and Some Nepal Laws Amendment Act, 2010. 4. O. Director General means the Director General of the Department. 10. 01. Liquor means any alcoholic substance prepared from grains, fruits, or any other starch substance by fermenting the same through biochemical process or any other manner, and this term also includes alcohol, jid, chiang, whiskey, rum, gin, brandy, vodka, beer, wine, sherry, champagne, cider, perry, mid, malton, industrial alcohol, rectified sprit, malt sprit, silent sprit, denatured sprit and head sprit. 11. 02. Ready-made liquor means liquor of every type made from a mixture of less than 57.06% of alcohol in volume. 12. 03. LP means the concentration of pure ethanol in London proof. 13. 04. LP liter means the quantity of 57.06% of pure ethanol per liter. 14. 05. UP means less concentrated than London proof. 15. 06. OP means more concentrated than London proof. 16. 07. Physical control system means the system of production, release, import, and export of any goods. Subject to excise. 10 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 11 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 12 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 13 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 14 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 15 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 16 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 5 duty under the control of the excise duty officer or the employee designated by him or her. 17. 08. Self-release system means the system of production, release, import, and export of goods subject to excise duty other than those based on physical control system. 18. 09. Excise duty assessment means the assessment of excise duty made pursuant to this act. 19. 010. Claimed amount means the total amount set by adding the price of goods or service subject to excise duty and the excise duty leviable therein. 20. 011. Electronic means a computer, internet, email, fax, electronic cash machine, fiscal printer, and this term also includes electronic means of payment and other approved means specified by the department. P. Prescribed or as prescribed means prescribed or as prescribed in the rules framed under this act. 213 To levy excise duty. Excise duty as mentioned in the schedule shall be levied when any goods or service subject to excise duty manufactured by an enterprise are released and imported and service is sold. 17 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 18 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 19 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 20 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 21 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 6223A. Excise duty assessment and collection. 1. The manufacturer of goods or service subject to excise duty shall be liable to assess and collect excise duty to be levied in accordance with this Act, provided that the concerned customs office shall assess and collect excise duty of the goods to be imported. 2. If excise duty is leviable on any goods at the stage of sale and distribution in addition to the production and importation thereof, the importer or seller shall be liable to assess and collect excise duty leviable under this Act. 3. The excise duty paid in the raw materials consumed in the manufacturing of goods subject to excise duty shall be deductible from the excise duty to be paid in release of finished goods, provided that the excise duty paid in the purchase or importation of raw materials by an industry other than an industry producing tobacco products subject to the self-release system may be deductible from excise duty payable when selling finished goods. 4. The excise duty paid in goods having damaged as a result of arson, theft, accident, destructive activity, or expiration of the date for use of such goods may be deducted as specified by the Department. 5. No excise duty paid on the importation of subsidiary raw materials, packing materials, and raw materials and spare parts free from custom duty is deductible when deducting excise duty pursuant to this section. 22 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 7233B. Excise duty not to be levied. 1. No excise duty shall be levied in the following circumstances on any goods or service subject to excise duty under Section 3A, if exported from Nepal or goods except liquor or cigarette sold to a licensed tax-free shop, bonded warehouse and duty-free shop. B. If cigarette or liquor is sold by a licensed bonded warehouse to a person or body enjoying diplomatic and tariff facility upon recommendation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Nepal. Provided that, 1. Nothing shall bar the sale and distribution of goods by a bonded warehouse other than cigarette and liquor, without charging excise duty. 2. When importing goods subject to excise duty by a bonded warehouse, amount equal to the excise duty leviable on such goods shall be furnished in the form of cash deposit or bank guarantee. 2. The procedure for the release or refund of cash deposit or bank guarantee pursuant to Clause B of subsection 1 shall be as specified by the Department. 3. If any goods manufactured or prepared in Nepal and exported from Nepal are re-imported because of rejection by the concerned party or other reason, and such goods are to be exported. 23 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 8 Within 3 months of importation of such goods, the concerned customs office shall take a deposit of excise duty leviable when so re-imported and refund the deposit after re-exportation of such goods. 4. An industry manufacturing and exporting goods subject to excise duty may deduct the excise duty paid on the purchase or importation of raw materials used for the manufacturing of the quantity the exported goods subject to excise duty from the amount of excise duty payable at the time of release of goods pursuant to subsection 3 of Section 3A. 5. It may claim to the excise duty officer for the refund of the amount of excise duty not reconciled when making deduction pursuant to subsection 4. 6. If a claim for the refund of excise duty pursuant to subsection 5 appears to be reasonable upon inquiry and examination, the excise duty officer shall refund it within 60 days of the claim for refund. 7. In order for a claim to be made for refund pursuant to subsection 5, there shall be at least 15% value addition in exportation of tobacco and liquor products and pan masala. 8. No excise duty shall be refunded under this section if a claim is not made within 1 year of the date that the period for submission of details to be submitted for making a claim for refund pursuant to subsection 5 expires, and if there is no value addition under subsection 7. 9. 244. Collection of excise duty. 1. Except as otherwise provided in this Act, Excise duty shall be collected as follows on any goods or service subject to excise duty pursuant to this Act. A. In the case of goods manufactured by an industry under the physical control system, when the goods manufactured by the enterprise are released for sale. B. In the case of the goods or service under automatic release system, when the invoice is issued. C. In the case of goods to be imported, at the customs point when such goods enter into Nepal. D. In the case of a service to be imported, as specified by the Department. 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, in the case of any goods or service, the Department may so specify that excise duty shall be collected when manufacturing such goods or providing such service. 254A Obligation to pay excise duty. The following person shall have obligation to pay excise duty in accordance with this Act. A. In the case of any goods or service to be manufactured in Nepal, the manufacturer. B. In the case of any goods to be imported, the person mentioned in the bill of lading, airway bill, invoice of receipt such goods or in the application for clearance. 24 Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 25 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 10. C. In the case of auction of any materials subject to excise duty, the person accepting such auction. D. In the case of use of goods other than liquor or cigarettes sold by a duty-free shop for resale or other purpose, the person making resale or use. E. In the case of any goods or service not subject to excise duty becomes goods or service subject to excise duty, the person having ownership of such goods. F. In cases other than that mentioned in clauses A. 2, E. The person as designated by the Department. 264B Time limit to deposit excise duty. 1. Excise duty collected under this Act shall be deposited as follows. A. In the case of goods based on physical control system, at the time of release of such goods. B. In the case of goods or service manufactured and sold or distributed under the self-release system, within 25th day of the month after the issuance of invoice. C. In the case of goods to be imported, at the time of entry of such goods into Nepal. D. In the case of service to be imported, as specified by the Department. 26 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 11. 2. If excise duty is not paid within the time limit under Clause B of subsection 1, the delay charge at the rate of 0.05% a day shall be imposed on the amount of excise duty due and payable. 274C Exemption from excise duty. 1. Any goods to be imported by a person or body enjoying diplomatic immunities, on recommendation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs shall be exempted from excise duty. 2. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1, excise duty shall also be exempted in the following circumstances. A. When transferring any motor vehicle imported by a foreign mission or donor agency under diplomatic privilege or tariff facility and the initial manufacturing of which has not crossed 10 years to a project in accordance with its approved annual program and converting its number plate to government number plate, or when transferring any motor vehicle imported under full or partial tariff facility, except imported under inventory or bank guarantee, in the name of any project and the initial manufacturing of which has not crossed 10 years to a local body, community school, community hospital, or government body, after the closure of the project, with the approval of the Ministry of Finance. B. In the case of a motor vehicle imported by a diplomatic mission, project, 28-person, or other body, government or 27 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 28 inserted by the Financial Act, 2019. 12 Non-governmental organization, under tariff facility and the initial manufacturing of which has crossed 15 years, when cancelling the registration of such old vehicle upon scraping it to be incapable of reuse, with the approval of the Ministry of Finance. C. In the case of a motor vehicle imported under partial customs tariff facility for personal use, when transmitting it to his or her wife or husband upon the death of its owner. D. Goods of every kind including armored personnel carrier, motor vehicle, arms, and ammunition taken under inventory for the use of a platoon of army, Armed Police and Nepal Police deputed for peace mission upon the request of the United Nations. 3. An industry manufacturing goods with the use of 90% or more of domestic junks or waste materials shall be exempted from excise duty leviable on such goods. 2940 Control of sale and distribution. 1. The government of Nepal may control the sale and distribution of such goods subject to excise duty as it considers necessary, and manage the same as prescribed. 30. 2. A business person conducting transaction of liquors, except a hotel, restaurant, and party palace business person, shall transact only liquor and tobacco-related products. 29 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 30 Amended by the Financial Act, 2021. 13. 3. A license holder transacting tobacco-related products shall transact such products from a separate place. 4. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsections 2 and 3, a departmental store shall transact liquors and tobacco-related products through a separate sales counter. 314E Provisions related to price and cash discount. No industry related to liquors, beer, or tobacco-related products and importer and seller of such products shall run any prize distribution program or provide any discount on the sale of such products to any seller. 32. If such act is found to be done, it shall be considered to be a violation of the conditions of the license. 5. Power to appoint or designate excise duty officer. The government of Nepal may, for the purposes of this act, appoint a required number of excise duty officers, and if it so considers necessary, the government of Nepal may designate any other officer of the government of Nepal to act as the excise duty officer. 6. Jurisdiction of excise duty officer. Jurisdiction of the excise duty officer shall be as specified by the government of Nepal. 337 Fixation of price of goods or service subject to excise duty. 1. Where excise duty is to be levied on any goods or service manufactured within Nepal according to value, ad valorem, excise duty shall be levied taking the following price as the basis. 31 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 32 Removed by the Financial Act, 2020. 33 Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 14. A. The factory price determined by the manufacturer when selling goods subject to excise duty. B. In the case of a service, its selling price, or, C. The price specified by the department on the basis of costs of production or other appropriate basis. 2. In respect of goods to be imported into Nepal, excise duty shall be levied on the price to be set after the addition of customs duty to the price determined for the purpose of levying customs duty thereon. 3. Excise duty on a service shall be collected by fixing the price as per its invoice. 4. The excise duty officer may, as per necessity, refix the price or fix an additional price for the purpose of collecting excise duty. 8. License to be obtained. 1. No one shall manufacture, import, sell or store goods subject to excise duty or provide services subject to excise duty to any other person, without obtaining a license in accordance with this act. 2. A person, firm, company, or body that intends to obtain the license referred to in subsection 1, has to make an application to the excise duty officer for the license, in such form and accompanied by such fee as prescribed. 15,349. Provisions relating to license. 1. No one shall produce, import, sell or store goods subject to excise duty or provide services subject to excise duty without obtaining a license in accordance with this act. Provided that it is not required to obtain a license to import goods subject to excise duty under diplomatic privilege on the recommendation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Government of Nepal, and to sell or store goods under the self-release system. 2. A person, firm, company, or body intending to obtain the license pursuant to subsection 1, shall make an application to the excise duty officer, in such form and accompanied by such fee as prescribed. 3. If an application is made to the excise duty officer for the license pursuant to subsection 2, the department or the excise duty officer specified by the department shall grant the license in the prescribed form if found appropriate to so grant upon necessary examination of such application. 4. The term of the license granted pursuant to subsection 3 shall remain valid for 1 fiscal year. 5. A licensee intending to renew the license shall get it renewed by depositing the prescribed fee after the expiration of the term referred to in subsection 4. Provided that, 34 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 16. A. If the licensee so wishes, he or she may get it renewed for 3 fiscal years by depositing the renewal fee at one time. B. A licensee producing bidi, cigarette, tobacco, kaini, pan masala, gutka, a sugar industry and industry importing kudo and good, raw sugar, shall get the license renewed by depositing the renewal fee as prescribed. C. 35 IT shall not be required to renew the license obtained to manufacture such goods except the tobacco products subject to the self-release system. 6. A licensee, other than one involved in manufacturing and importation, who does not make renewal within the period under subsection 5, shall, in order to have renewal of the license, pay a fine of 25% of the renewal fee if it is within the first 3 months of the expiration of such period, 50% if it is within 3 months thereafter, 75% if it is within 3 months thereafter, and 100% for the end of Ashad, mid-July, thereafter. 36. 6a. A licensee involved in manufacturing and importation who does not make renewal within the period referred to in subsection 5, shall, for making renewal, pay a fine of 50% of the renewal fee if it is within first 3 months of the expiration of 35 amended by the Financial Act, 2020. 36 inserted by the Financial Act, 2019. 17 such period and 100% if it is within 3 months thereafter. 37-38, 6b, the license of the license holder not making renewal within the prescribed time pursuant to subsection 5, or 6, shall be ipso facto be cancelled. 7. If any person carries out transaction without obtaining the license pursuant to subsection 1, that person shall not get exemption from the fees for license and its renewal. 399A Power to postpone license. 1. If a licensee ceases to transact the goods or service subject to excise duty, he or she shall make an application to the excise duty officer, along with the reason therefor, for the postponement of the license within 15 days. 2. If an application is received pursuant to subsection 1, the excise duty officer shall decide whether or not to postpone the licensee's license, and if he or she considers necessary to postpone the license, he or she shall postpone such license and give information thereof to the licensee within 15 days of the receipt of application. 3. The licensee whose license is postponed pursuant to subsection 2, shall not be required to submit the details pursuant to section 10a. From the next month of the postponement of the license. 4. The licensee shall not be required to renew the license pursuant to section 9 for the period during which the license is postponed. 37 removed by the Financial Act, 2021. 38 inserted by the Financial Act, 2021. 39 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 18. 5. If the licensee wishes to commence transaction of goods or service by the license postponed pursuant to subsection 2, he or she shall make an application to the excise duty officer, and the excise duty officer shall, upon receipt of such application, grant license to commence the transaction. 409B Power to suspend license. 1. If a licensee manufacturing liquor, cigarette, or tobacco-related goods subject to excise duty manufactures, releases, sells or distributes such goods without affixing the excise duty ticket or by using a fake or already used ticket on such goods, or it appears from a preliminary investigation that the licensee has evaded excise duty by making manufacture or storage without showing the record of raw materials required for the manufacturing of such goods, the excise duty officer may suspend the license of such licensee for up to 3 months. 2. The licensee shall not manufacture, sell, or release the goods during the period of suspension of the license pursuant to subsection 1. 3. If it is proved that a person has committed an act under this section, such act shall be considered to be an offense under this act. 10. Power to cancel license. The department may cancel the license issued pursuant to subsection 1 of section 9 in the following circumstances: 40 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 19. A. If the terms and conditions specified in the license are found violated. B. If it appears to be contrary to public interest. 41. C. If excise duty is not paid. 42. D. If the licensee body is dissolved or the licensee applies for the cancellation of its license. 43. E. If renewal is not made pursuant to section 9. 4410A. To provide excise duty returns, a person obliged to assess and collect excise duty pursuant to section 3A shall submit such excise duty returns as prescribed on transactions of each month subject to excise duty to the excise duty officer within 25 days of expiration of such month, or as provided in subsection 3 of section 10C, or by a registered mail. Such returns shall be submitted whether or not transaction subject to excise duty has been carried out in that month. 4510B. To maintain accounts. 1. A person required to submit excise duty returns pursuant to section 10A shall maintain updated accounts along with such details as prescribed, setting out the manufacture, sale of goods or service subject to excise duty, the price and quantity of the purchase, consumption and last stock of raw materials, subsidiary raw materials etc. used in the manufacture of such goods or service, and such account shall be made available when so demanded by the excise duty officer for inspection. 41 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 42 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 43 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 44 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 45 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 20. 2. The accounts of purchase, manufacture, release, sale and stock referred to in subsection 1 shall be caused to be certified by the excise duty officer and used for the purpose of maintaining accounts. 3. The licensee shall safely retain the accounts of transactions for 6 years. 4. For the purposes of the implementation of this Act, the excise duty officer may demand information on the transaction of goods or service subject to excise duty by giving a written notice. 4610C. Computer processed records to be admissible as evidence. 1. Notwithstanding anything contained in the prevailing laws, records on excise duty of any person processed by computers installed in the department or subordinate offices or offices designated to administer excise duty shall, unless proved to the contrary, be admissible as evidence for the purpose of excise duty. 2. Provisions may be made so that data in manufacture of such goods or service subject to excise duty as prescribed are automatically available to the department or such office as designated by the department through electronic means. 3. The department may make necessary arrangements for submission of excise duty returns and payment of excise duty through electronic means. 46 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 214710D. Power of excise duty officer to assess excise duty. 1. The excise duty officer may assess excise duty in any of the following circumstances: A. If excise duty return is not submitted within the time limit. B. If incomplete or erroneous excise duty return is submitted. C. If a false excise duty return is submitted. D. If there are grounds to believe that the amount of excise duty is shown less or is not correct. E. If there are grounds and reasons to believe that the selling price is under invoiced, which requires reassessment of the price or assessment of an additional price pursuant to subsection 4 of section 7 F. If manufacturing limit is not met where such limit of manufacture of goods or service subject to excise duty in accordance with or under this Act is specified. G. if the volume of alcohol in released liquor or alcohol-based substance differs by more than 1%, h. if excise duty is evaded, I. if any person carries out transaction of goods subject to excise duty without obtaining the license. 47 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 22. 2. When assessing excise duty pursuant to subsection 1, the excise duty officer shall give a time limit of 15 days to the concerned person for defense. 3. The department may monitor the assessment of excise duty made pursuant to subsection 1. The Director General may order the reassessment of excise duty if any error is seen in the course of monitoring. 4. The excise duty officer shall have the following powers for the purpose of assessment of excise duty pursuant to subsection 1, or examination of excise duty returns submitted pursuant to section 10A, a. to examine goods, place, documents, account, and records related to excise duty obligation, b. to search or seal the place of transaction of any person or other place having possibility of evidence related to the act considered to be an offense under this act, c. to demand information from a person preparing any record, book of accounts, document, or filling up details in such documents in the course of complying with his or her duties, d. to seize any document, book, and records held on the place of transaction of goods or service subject to excise duty or any other place related thereto or to take them to another place. 23. E. to make an audit of excise duty at the place of transaction or office or any other appropriate place. F. to demand information of anything related to the transaction of goods or service subject to excise duty from any person including a bank or financial institution. 5. It shall be the duty of the bank and financial institution or concerned person to provide such information as demanded by the excise duty officer. 4810E. Power to avail service of expert. The department may obtain service of an expert including a liquor specialist, brewing specialist, chemical expert and other specialist as required for the effective implementation of this act. 4910F. Power to specify the limit of manufacture of goods and service subject to excise duty. 1. The manufacturing limit of ethanol, sprit, or ENA to be obtained from grains, molasses or liquid raw sugar, kudo, used by an industry producing anhydrous ethanol, rectified sprit, or E.N.A shall be as prescribed. 2. If production appears to be less than the limit specified under subsection 1, the enterprise shall be considered to have produced the highest quality liquor that it produces from such varied amount of ethanol, sprit, or ENA. 48 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 49 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 24. 3. The department may prescribe the rate of limit of manufacture of other goods and service subject to excise duty. 5010 Guaranis. To examine volume of alcohol, the excise duty officer may, at any time, examine the volume or quality of alcohol in liquor and other alcohol-based substance released with approval. More than 1% of variation in the volume of alcohol or significant variation in quality shall not be allowed. 5110H. Recovery of outstanding excise duty. If any person fails to pay the excise duty required to be paid within the period under this Act, the concerned excise duty officer may recover it by using any or all of the following means: a. by deducting the amount, if any, to be refunded to such person; b. by making deduction of the amount receivable by such person from the government of Nepal or a corporate body owned by the government of Nepal, provincial government, or a corporate body owned by the provincial government or the local level; c. by making deduction from the interest of such person in a bank, financial or other institution. Explanation: for the purpose of this clause, interest includes a deposit and investment in a bank, financial or other institution. 50 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 51 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 25. D. By restricting sale, exportation, importation, or other business of such person. E. By seizing a movable and immovable property of such person. F. By making auction, as prescribed, of all or some of the movable and immovable property of such person, at one time or several times, g. by making auction of goods in stock. 5210 I delay charge, if a person fails to pay the amount of excise duty to be paid within the time limit under this Act because of assessment of excise duty or otherwise, except for the situation in Clause A of subsection 1 of Section 4, a delay charge shall be imposed at the rate of 0.5% per day on excise duty due and payable. 5310J Provision against scheme on evasion of excise duty. Notwithstanding anything contained elsewhere in this Act, if any person commits any of the following acts with the intention of taking advantage of excise duty, the person shall be considered to abet the evasion of excise duty leviable under this Act, and the Director General may order the excise duty officer to assess and recover excise duty of such person, a. reducing the obligation of excise duty by carrying out any plan and act with the objective of evading excise duty by misusing any provision of this Act, or 52 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 53 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 26. B. Committing any act with the objective of reducing obligation of excise duty or making agreement with that objective. 5410K Examination of excise duty ticket. The excise duty officer may examine whether the excise duty ticket used in the production or importation of liquor, beer, or cigarette and other goods subject to excise duty is original or fake. 11 To search on adequate grounds, if there are reasonable grounds to suspect that anyone is 55 releasing any goods subject to excise duty from an enterprise or importing such goods from abroad by evading excise duty, the excise duty officer or the employee designated by him or her may hold any person or motor vehicle and demand evidence of the payment of excise duty. A failure to submit evidence of the payment of excise duty shall be considered to be evasion of excise duty. 12 Power to search, seize, or arrest. 1. If any person, firm, company, or body carries on business by importing, selling or storing a product or good subject to excise duty or by delivering service subject to excise duty without obtaining a license, or the excise duty officer or the employee designated by him or her gets information that excise duty is evaded pursuant to Section 11, such officer or employee may search any enterprise, house, land, motor vehicle, or place where such act is being carried out. 54 Inserted by Financial Act, 2018. 55 Amended by Financial Act, 2018. 27. 2. When carrying out a search pursuant to subsection 1, if a business is found being carried on by manufacturing, selling, importing, storing or transporting any goods subject to excise duty or delivering service subject to excise duty in contravention of this Act, the officer or employee conducting the search may, by giving a slip, arrest the person engaged in such act and seize the goods recovered there, by executing a memorandum, Muchulka. 3. If the excise duty officer or the employee designated by him or her believes that any offense under this Act is being committed on any enterprise, house, land, motor vehicle, or place and the offender may escape or the proof and evidence of the offense may disappear if no action is taken immediately, such officer or employee may, by executing a memorandum thereof, personally carry out, or cause any of his or her subordinate employee to carry out, the following acts at any time: a. To enter into such enterprise, house, land, motor vehicle, or place; b. In the case of obstruction in such entry, to enter into such place by breaking out the window or door after giving a reasonable opportunity to any person staying there to leave the place; and 56. c. To seize any goods subject to excise duty related to the offense, and such other goods as may be ancillary to prove the offense and to seal such place. 56 Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 28. d. To suspend the license, and 57 provided that such suspension cannot be made for more than 7 days, and necessary decision thereon shall be made within 60 days of such suspension. e. To arrest a person suspected of committing the offense. 58. 3a. If any person is arrested pursuant to Clause E of subsection 3 the person so arrested shall be presented before the excise duty officer for approval of such arrest. 59. 4. When entering or searching any enterprise, house, land, motor vehicle, or place or making a search pursuant to this section, such entry or search shall be made in witness of a representative of the concerned municipal corporation, submunicipal corporation, municipality, or rural municipality. 5. If anyone has been arrested or any enterprise, house, land, motor vehicle, or place has been searched or goods subject to excise duty or other products have been seized under this act, the excise duty officer who has so arrested, searched, or seized has to send, through faster means, a report thereof to the Director General of the Department within 24 hours of such arrest, search, or seizure of goods. If any other employee subordinate to the excise duty officer has carried out such act, such employee has to send a 57 inserted by Financial Act, 2018. 58 inserted by some Nepal Laws Amendment, Consolidation, Adjustment, and Repeal Act, 2017. 59 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 29 report thereof to the excise duty officer or the department within 24 hours of carrying out such act. 6. The excise duty officer shall have the same powers in respect of investigation of the offense under this act as the police is entitled to exercise pursuant to the law in force. 7. If the excise duty officer requests the local administration or the police for assistance in search, arrest, or seizure, the local administration or police has to render such assistance immediately. 13. Duty to give information of offense. 60. 1. If any person comes to know that anyone is about to commit or is committing or has already committed any act contrary to this act, he or she may give information thereof to the Inland Revenue Office, Taxpayer Service Office or nearby police office in oral or written form. Written information so received or information received in oral form to be prepared in writing shall be forwarded to the concerned Inland Revenue Office or Taxpayer Service Office. 2. If the informer intends to keep his or her name secret, he or she may give his or her identity in code language. 3. When giving information, the informer shall not be compelled to disclose the source of his or her information. 61. 4. The Director General or the authority specified in the procedure shall provide an informant with an expense of 10,000 rupees immediately in accordance with the prescribed 60 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 61 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 30 Procedure to the informant providing information pursuant to this section on the basis of its truthfulness. 14 Reward. 62. 1. The concerned Inland Revenue Office or Taxpayers Service Office shall provide a government employee or other person who gives information or clue about any act which is about to be or being or has been committed contrary to this act with a reward in a sum to be set as follows from the amount other than excise duty recovered on the goods subject to excise duty seized from the offender, after final settlement of the case instituted on the basis of such information or clue, a. 10% of the claimed amount for the informant, b. 20% of the claimed amount for a person who seizes and submits goods only, c. 30% of the claimed amount for a person who arrests and hands over the person, along with the goods, provided that if more than one persons provide information or clue, the reward shall be divided between them on pro rata. 2. If any employee or police arrests a person, along with the goods seized, upon having a clue, 25% of the claimed amount shall be provided to such employee or police. Provided that if only goods are seized, 25% of the value of the goods shall be provided as a reward. If the reward to be so provided exceeds 15,000 rupees per person at a time, it shall be given not in excess of that figure. 62 Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 3115. Punishment for one who does not inform or render assistance. If any person who has the duty to give information that any act is about to be, being, or has been committed contrary to this act, after knowing such matter, or to render assistance when sought by 63 The Inland Revenue Office or Taxpayers Service Office, does not knowingly give such information or render such assistance, the person shall be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or a fine of up to 10,000 rupees or with both, having regard to the nature of the offence. 6416 Punishment. 1. If a person commits the following offence, the person shall be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year or a fine in a sum equivalent to the claimed amount or with both for such offence, and the claimed amount shall also be seized, a. to conceal, hide, or evade the excise duty required to be paid under this Act, or, b. to produce or import goods subject to excise duty without obtaining license, c. to commit any offence contrary to this Act by preparing a false account or fake document, d. 65to produce, bottle, seal and sell and distribute liquor contrary to this Act or regulation framed 63 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 64 amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 65 amended by the Financial Act, 2020. 32 under this Act or the conditions as prescribed by the Department, e. to counterfeit the excise duty ticket to be used in the production and importation of liquor, beer, cigarette, or tobacco products and other goods subject to excise duty and use, produce, transport or store such fake ticket. 2. If a licensee who produces or imports liquor, cigarette, and tobacco product conceals, hides or evades excise duty by committing the following offence, the licensee shall be punished, for such offence, with a fine of 200% of the claimed amount or 100,000 rupees, whichever is higher, with confiscation of the claimed amount, or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year or both, a. to conceal, hide, or evade excise duty, b. to produce, release, sell, distribute, store or import liquor, cigarette, and tobacco products by using a fake excise duty ticket, c. to produce and release in a brand which is not approved, 66, c1, to produce, release, store or sell, distribute using others' brand or not opening any brand, d. to so make production by an enterprise producing liquor as rum, gin, brandy, vodka, whiskey that it differs from 25 UP and 30 UP 66 inserted by the Financial Act, 2021. 33. 3. When determining the claimed amount pursuant to Clause E of subsection 1 and subsection 2, it shall be determined by calculating the price of goods subject to excise duty on the basis of the power, quantity, or size of the goods in which such ticket is used or to be used. 670 value of 70 UP liquor in the case of non-disclosure of the brand and the applicable excise duty in addition to it. If the goods or service of which claimed amount has to be determined are already sold, the claimed amount shall be determined on the basis of the selling price of such goods or service. 4. The excise duty officer may impose a fine as follows on any person who commits any of the following offences: a. 100% of the amount of excise duty added if redetermination of price or determination of additional price is made pursuant to subsection 4 of section 7, b. in the case of selling or storing goods or service subject to excise duty without obtaining license, from 5,000 rupees to 15,000 rupees, c. in the case of violation of section 10a, 0.05% of applicable excise duty for each day or 1,000 rupees for each return, whichever amount is higher. 67 inserted by the Financial Act, 2021. 34. D. In the case of a failure to maintain updated accounts pursuant to subsection 1 of section 10b, 10,000 rupees, and a failure to allow inspection of accounts of transaction, 5,000 rupees for each time. E. In the case of violation of subsection 2 of section 10b, 5,000 rupees. F. In the case of violation of subsection 3 of section 10b, 10,000 rupees. G. In the case of obstruction in monitoring pursuant to subsection 3 of section 10d, 5,000 rupees for each time. H. In the case of variation of volume of alcohol by more than 1%, which is found upon examination pursuant to section 10 guaranis, 100% of the amount of revenue leakage. I. in the case of a failure to meet the limit as per the prescribed limit, if any, of manufacture of goods or service subject to excise duty, 100% of the amount of excise duty to be added. J. In the case of violation of subsection 1 of section 4D, 10,000 rupees. For each time. K. In the case of a failure to collect excise duty when selling goods and service under the self-release system, or in the case of collecting less excise 35 duty, 100% of the amount of excise duty not collected or collected less after collecting the excise duty. L. In the case of claiming credit of excise duty in violation of subsection 3 of section 3A, 100% of the amount of excise duty claimed as credit. M. In the case of violation of subsection 2 of section 4D, 10,000 rupees for the first time and 20,000 rupees for each time afterwards. N. In the case of a failure by a licensee to set out the maximum retail price, date of production and batch number on liquor, cigarette, and tobacco products, amount equal to the claimed amount or 100,000 rupees, whichever is higher, along with the confiscation of such goods. O. In the case of a failure to use a shrink cap to be used for the protection of excise duty ticket on the bottle of liquor, except beer, wine, cider, amount equal to the claimed amount or 100,000 rupees, whichever is higher, along with the confiscation of such goods. P. In the case of producing, releasing, selling or distributing liquor, cigarette, or tobacco products 36 without approval or by way of imitation of others' brand, amount equal to the claimed amount or 100,000 rupees, whichever is higher, along with the confiscation of such goods. Q. 68. R. In the case of a failure by an enterprise producing wine to make fermentation in a patent steel tank or wood utensil, VAT, 100,000 rupees for each time. S. In the case of a finding upon examination of stock of a licensee producing molasses and sprit and other substance subject to excise duty which are used as raw materials of liquor, cigarette, tobacco product, and liquor, that stock of goods exceeds that mentioned in the purchase account or stock account specified under the Excise Duty Regulation, 2002, 100% of the market price of such excess goods after setting such price upon accounting such goods as incomings. 69, S1, in the case of using spirit and ethanol contrary to the approval provided pursuant to this Act and the regulation framed under this Act, amount equal to the excise duty to be imposed at a higher rate. 68 removed by the Financial Act, 2020. 69 inserted by the Financial Act, 2020. 37 for the liquor to be produced by the use of such spirit, T, in the case of a violation of this Act or the rules framed under this Act, other than that set forth in this section, 10,000 rupees for each time. 5. Any utensils used directly or indirectly with the offense, tools, machines, equipment, and motor vehicle used to manufacture or make goods or service shall also be confiscated. Provided that if the person committing such offense uses a motor vehicle on hire and uses it in such act without permission of the owner of the vehicle, such vehicle shall not be confiscated, but the owner of the vehicle shall be punished with a fine of 25,000 rupees and the driver shall be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or with a fine of up to 15,000 rupees or with both, having regard to the nature of the offense. 6. Notwithstanding anything contained in 70 subsection 5, if a motor vehicle is registered as on hire and used by its owner himself or herself, such vehicle shall be confiscated. 7. The excise duty officer may also suspend the license granted pursuant to section 9 for a period not exceeding 90 days, in addition to the punishment of fine mentioned in subsection 1. 8. A person who attempts to commit or abets the commission of an offense mentioned in subsections 1 and 2, shall 70 amended by the Financial Act, 2021. 38 be liable to half the punishment to be imposed to the principal offender. 9. The excise duty officer may suspend the license granted pursuant to section 9 or write to the concerned body to cancel the registration of such industry or enterprise after cancelling the license pursuant to section 10, in addition to the punishment mentioned in 71 subsection 2. 17 To attach and auction property. 1. If the excise duty officer has reasonable grounds for confiscating any person's property pursuant to this act or the rules framed hereunder, the excise duty officer may so attach such property that the title to or ownership in it is incapable of being transferred to anyone else. 2. If it appears that the property so attached can be perished, decayed, or destroyed, or its value can be diminished, the excise duty officer has to immediately auction such property and credit the proceeds of the auction. If the concerned person is subsequently held entitled to have the attached property returned to him or her, only the proceeds of the auction shall be returned to him or her. The concerned person shall not be entitled to claim for the return of the property itself. 72. 3. If the confiscated goods are found to be usable upon examination, the proceeds of auction shall be credited into revenue. Provided that if those goods are found unusable upon examination, the department shall dispose them as prescribed. 71 Amended by the Financial Act, 2020. 72 Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 39 7317A. Provision for payment by installments. If any taxpayer requests in writing to pay outstanding excise duty in installments, approval may be granted allowing payment by installments for 1 year. 18 To have same powers as court has. 1. For the purposes of this Act, the excise duty officer shall have the same powers as a court has under the law in force in respect of summoning the presence of the concerned person, recording of statements, examining evidence, compelling production of documents, holding such person in detention or releasing on bail. 2. When taking action under this Act, the excise duty officer has to follow the procedures referred to in the Summary Procedures Act, 2028, 1971. 7419 Provisions on Administrative Review and Appeal. 1. If a person is not satisfied with a decision made by the excise duty officer in respect of the assessment and recovery of excise duty, the person may apply to the Director General for administrative review within 30 days of the date of receipt of such notice. Provided that an appeal may be made to the Revenue Tribunal against a decision made by the excise duty officer imposing imprisonment for any of the offences under subsections 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Section 16 within 35 days. 2. If the time limit for making application under subsection 1 expires, an application, accompanied by the reason therefor, may be made to the Director General for the extension of 73 inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 74 Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 40 The time limit within 7 days of the date that the time limit expires, and the Director General may extend the time limit of 30 days from the date that the time limit expires if the reason mentioned in the application appears to be reasonable. 3. If the applicant's claim appears to be reasonable upon investigation of the application made pursuant to subsection 1, the Director General may void the tax assessment order by recording the explicit reason and executing a memorandum, and order the concerned excise duty officer or any other officer to reassess tax. 4. The Director General shall decide the application within 60 days of the date that such application is made pursuant to subsection 1. 5. A person making application pursuant to subsection 1 shall pay the undisputed amount of excise duty and the total amount of fine, and 750 any fourth of the disputed amount of excise duty and fine, out of the amount of excise duty assessed. 6. The concerned person may appeal to the Revenue Tribunal after the expiration of the specified time limit if the Director General fails to make decision within the time limit under subsection 4, or within 35 days of the date of receipt of notice of such decision if he or she is not satisfied with the decision made. 75 Amended by the Financial Act, 2019. 4176, 6a. The concerned person shall by paying undisputed excise amount from the assessed excise amount and submit 50% of the disputed excise amount and fine amount as a deposit or provide same amount of bank guarantee on filing the appeal to the Revenue Tribunal pursuant to subsection 6. 77, 6b, in calculation of the deposit or bank guarantee pursuant to subsection 6a, it shall be calculated including also the 25% of excise amount submitted to the Inland Revenue Department for administrative review. 7. A person who applies for administrative review or appeals pursuant to this section shall register one copy of such application or appeal with the concerned office within 15 days. 8. The reason that application for review or appeal has been made under subsection 1, shall not affect the execution of a decision mentioned in subsection 1 of section 16. 20. Powers that cannot be delegated. The powers conferred on the excise duty officer pursuant to sections 15 and 16 cannot be delegated. 21. When confiscation proceeding may be postponed, if the excise duty officer makes decision to confiscate the property of any person pursuant to this act or the rules framed hereunder and an appeal has been made against the decision, the appeal hearing authority may order the excise duty officer to postpone the proceeding to confiscate the property pending the settlement of the appeal. 76. Inserted by the Financial Act, 2021. 77. Inserted by the Financial Act, 2021. 42. Provided that the provision of this section shall not apply to the circumstance referred to in subsection 2 of section 17. 22. Recovery of outstanding amount as government due. If any person does not pay any amount due and payable to the government of Nepal pursuant to this act and the rules framed hereunder, the excise duty officer shall recover such amount from such person as a governmental due. 78. 22a. To be considered as excise duty, the fee, delay charge, or fine to be imposed pursuant to this act shall be considered as excise duty applicable under this act. 7923. Department to be responsible. The department shall be responsible for the implementation and administration of this act. 23a. Advance ruling. 1. If any person makes an application in writing to the department for the avoidance of any doubt as to the application of this act, the department may issue its opinion through advance ruling as prescribed, and inform such person thereof in writing. 2. Such advance ruling shall only apply to the arrangements after the date of its issue on the matter subject to advance ruling and the matters mentioned in the application. 3. If an application is made advance ruling on a matter that is sub judice in the court and that has already been interpreted. And 78. Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 79. Amended by the Financial Act, 2019. 43. Ordered by the court and advance rule is issued, such advance ruling shall be considered to be ipso facto inoperative. 8024. This act to prevail on excise duty, notwithstanding anything contained in the law in force, except in cases where the Financial Act amends this act and provides for the imposition, assessment, increase, decrease, exemption, or remission of excise duty. No other act shall make other provisions on amendments to, alteration in, the excise duty provisions referred to in this act or other related provisions on excise duty. 25. Power to frame rules. The government of Nepal may frame necessary rules in order to carry out the objectives of this act. 8125a. Power to make directives. The department may make necessary directives, subject to this act and the rules framed hereunder. 26. Repeal and saving. 1. The Excise Duty Act, 1959, 2051, is hereby repealed. 2. All the acts and actions performed under the Excise Duty Act, 1959, 2051, shall be deemed to have been performed under this act. 80. Amended by the Financial Act, 2018. 81. Inserted by the Financial Act, 2018. 4482. Schedule, relating to Section 3, Rate of Excise Duty. Heading Subheading Description of Goods or Service Price % Except Excise Duty Rate mentioned otherwise. 02.01 Meat of bovine animals, fresh or chilled. 0201.10.00 Carcasses and half carcasses. 5020.20.00 Other cuts with bone in. 5020.30.00 Boneless. 502.02 Meat of bovine animals, frozen 0202.10.00 carcasses and half carcasses 5020.20.00 other cuts with bone in 5020.30.00 boneless 502.03 meat of swine, fresh, chilled or frozen. Fresh or chilled 0203.11.00 carcasses and half carcasses 500203.12.00 back shoulders and other cuts thereof, with bone in 82 amended by the Financial Act, 2021. 450203.19.00 others 5 carcasses and half carcasses, frozen, 0203.21.00 carcasses and half carcasses 500203.22.00 back shoulders and other cuts thereof, 5 with bone in 0203.29.00 others 502.04 meat of sheep or goats, fresh, chilled or frozen 0204.10.00 meat of sheep, fresh or chilled, carcasses 5 and half carcasses other meat of sheep, fresh or chilled 0204.21.00 carcasses and half carcasses 500204.22.00 other cuts thereof, with bone in 500204.23.00 boneless 500204.30.00 meat of sheep, frozen. Carcasses and 5 half carcasses other meat of sheep, frozen 0204.41.00 carcasses and half carcasses 500204.42.00 other cuts thereof, with bone in 500204.43.00 boneless 500204.50.00 meat of goats 54602.050205.00.00 meat of horses, asses, mules, or hinnies, 5 fresh, chilled or frozen 02.06 edible offal of bovine animals, swine, sheep, goats, horses, asses, mules, or hinnies, fresh, chilled or frozen 0206.10.00 bovine animals, fresh and chilled 5 bovine animals, frozen 0206.21.00 tongue 5. 0206.22.00 liver 500206.29.00 others 500206.30.00 swine, fresh or chilled 5 swine, frozen 0206.41.00 liver 500206.49.00 others 500206.80.00 others, fresh or chilled 500206.90.00 others, frozen 502.07 meat and edible offal of poultry, of the poultry of heading No 01.05, i.e. fowls of the species Gallus domesticus, fresh, chilled or frozen of fowls of the species Gallus domesticus 470207.11.00 not cut in pieces, fresh or chilled 50207.12.00 not cut in pieces, frozen 50207.13.00 cuts and offal, fresh or chilled 50207.14.00 cuts and offal, frozen 5 of turkeys 0207.24.00 not cut in pieces, fresh or chilled 50207.25.00 not cut in pieces, frozen 50207.26.00 cuts and offal, fresh or chilled 50207.27.00 cuts and offal, frozen 5 of ducks, 0207.41.00 not cut in pieces, fresh or chilled 50207.42.00 not cut in pieces, frozen 50207.43.00 fatty livers, foie gras, fresh or chilled 50207.44.00 cuts and offal, excluding fatty livers, 5 fresh or chilled 0207.45.00 others, frozen 5 of geese 0207.51.00 not cut in pieces, fresh or chilled 50207.52.00 not cut in pieces, frozen 50207.53.00 fatty livers, foie gras, fresh or chilled 50207.54.00 cuts and offal, excluding fatty livers, 548 fresh or chilled 0207.55.00 others, frozen 50207.60.00 of guinea fowls 502.08 other meat and edible meat offal, fresh, chilled or frozen. 0208.10.00 of rabbits or hares 50208.30.00 of primates 50208.40.00 of whales, dolphins and porpoises 5, mammals of the order Cetacea, of manatees and dugongs, mammals of the order Sirenia, of seals, sea lions and walruses, mammals of the suborder Pinnipedia, 0208.50.00 of reptiles, including snakes and turtles, 50208.60.00 of camels and other camelids 5, camelidae, 0208.90.00 other 502.09 pig fat, free of lean meat, and poultry fat, not rendered or otherwise extracted, fresh, chilled, frozen, salted, in brine, dried or smoked. 0202.10.00 of pigs 50209.90.00 others 54902.10 meat and edible meat offal, salted, in brine, dried or smoked, edible flours and meals of meat or meat offal. Meat of swine, 0210.11.00 hams, shoulders and cuts thereof, with 5 bone-in 0210.12.00 bellies, streaky, and cuts thereof 50210.19.00 other 50210.20.00 meat of bovine animals 5 other, including edible flours and meals of meat or meat offal 0210.91.00 of primates 50210.92.00 of whales, dolphins and porpoises 5, mammals of the order Cetacea, of manatees and dugongs, mammals of the order Sirenia, of seals, sea lions and walruses, mammals of the suborder Pinnipedia, 0210.93.00 of reptiles, including snakes and turtles, 50210.99.00 other 503.04 fish fillets and other fish meat, whether or not minced, fresh, chilled or frozen fresh or chilled fillets of tilapias 50, Oreochromis species, catfish, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharingodon pius, Catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrahma species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0304.31.00 Tilapias, Oreochromis species. 50304.32.00 Catfish, Pongasus species, Silurus species, 5 Clarias species, Ictalurus species. 0304.33.00 Nile perch, Lates niloticus, 50304.39.00 other 5 fresh or chilled fillets of other fish 0304.41.00 Pacific salmon, Oncorhynchus nurca, 5 Oncorhynchus gorbachat, Oncorhynchus kita, Oncorhynchus chaicha, Oncorhynchus kisuch, Oncorhynchus macewand Oncorhynchus rhodurus, Atlantic salmon, Salmo sala, and Danube salmon, Hucho, 51030.42.00 route, Salmo trutta, Oncorhynchus 5 micus, Oncorhynchus clarki, Oncorhynchus aguabonita, Oncorhynchus july, Oncorhynchus apache and Oncorhynchus chrysogaster, 0304.43.00 flatfish, Pleuronectidae, Bothidae, 5 Cynoglossidae, Solidae, Scophtalmidae and Cytheridae, 0304.44.00 Fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, 5 Euclycthidae, Gateidae, Macroeuridae, Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinalepididae. 0304.45.00 Swordfish, Xiphias gladius, 50304.46.00 Toothfish, Disostichous species. 50304.47.00 Dogfish and other sharks. 50304.48.00 Rays and skates, Rahidi, 50304.49.00 Other 5 Other, fresh, or chilled. 0304.51.00 Tilapias, Oreochromis species, Catfish. 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharingodon 52 Pius, Catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, lates, Niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0304.52.00 Salmonidae. 50304.53.00 Fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, 5 Euclycthidae, Gateidae, Macroeuridae, Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinalepididae. 0304.54.00 Swordfish, Xiphias gladius, 50304.55.00 Toothfish, Disostichous species. 50304.56.00 Dogfish and other sharks. 50304.57.00 Rays and skates, Rahidi, 50304.59.00 Other 5 Frozen fillets of tilapias, Oreochromis species, Catfish, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharingodon pius, Catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama 53 species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, lates Niloticus, and snakeheads. Channa species, 0304.61.00 Tilapias, Oreochromis species. 50304.62.00 Catfish, Pongasus species, Silurus species, 5 Clarias species, Ictalurus species. 0304.63.00 Nile perch, lates Niloticus, 50304.69.00 Other 5 Frozen fillets of fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, Euclycthidae, Gateidae, Macroeuridae, Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinalepididae. 0304.71.00 Cod, Gadus morhua, Gadus agak, Gadus 5 Macrocephalus. 0304.72.00 Haddock, Melanogrammus glyphinus. 50304.73.00 Coalfish, Polychus virens. 50304.74.00 Ake, Merluxius species, Europhysis species. 50304.75.00 Alaska Pollock Chalcogramma, Theragra. 50304.79.00 Other 5 Frozen fillets of other fish, 5400304.81.00 Pacific salmon, Oncorhynchus nurca, 5 Oncorhynchus gorbisha, Oncorhynchus kita, Oncorhynchus chaicha, Oncorhynchus kisuch, Oncorhynchus macewand, Oncorhynchus rhodurus, Atlantic salmon, Salmo sala, and Danube salmon, Hucho, 0304.82.00 Trout, Salmo trutta, Oncorhynchus 5 Micus, Oncorhynchus clarki, Oncorhynchus aguabonita, Oncorhynchus July, Oncorhynchus apache and Oncorhynchus chrysogaster. 0304.83.00 Flatfish, Pleuronectidae, Bothidae, 5 Cynoglossidae, Solidae, Scophtalmidae, and Cytheridae. 0304.84.00 Swordfish, Xiphias gladius, 50304.85.00 Toothfish, Disostichus species. 50304.86.00 Herrings, Cluppi herringus, Cluppi 5 policii, 0304.87.00 Tunas, of the genus Thunus, Skipjack 5 or stripe-bellied bonito, Euthinus, Katsawanus, Palames, 0304.88.00 Dogfish, other sharks, rays, and skates 5, Rahadi, 55030.89.00 other 5 other frozen, 0304.91.00 Swordfish, Xiphias gladius, 50304.92.00 Toothfish, Disostichus species. 50304.93.00 Tilapias, Oreochromes species, Catfish 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharingodon pius, Catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0304.94.00 Alaska pollock, Therograchalcogramma, 50304.95.00 Fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, 5 Euclycthiidae, Gateidae, Macroiridae, Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinolepididae, other than Alaska pollock, Therograchalcogramma, 0304.96.00 Dogfish and other sharks 50304.97.00 Rays and skates, Rahadi, 5560304.99.00 other 503.05 Fish, dried, salted or in brine, smoked fish, whether or not cooked before or during the smoking process, flours, meals and pellets of fish, fit. For human consumption 0305.10.00 flours, meals and pellets of fish, fit for 5 human consumption 0305.20.00 livers, roes, and milt of fish, dried, 5 smoked, salted or in brine fish fillets, dried, salted, or in brine, but not smoked 0305.31.00 Tilapias, Oreochromes species, Catfish 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharingodon pius, Catla, Labio species. Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 57030.32.00 Fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, 5 Euclycthiidae, Gateidae, Macroiridae Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinolepididae 0305.39.00 Other 5 smoked fish, including fillets, other than edible fish offal, 0305.41.00 Pacific salmon, Oncorhynchus nurca, 5 Oncorhynchus gorbachat, Oncorhynchus kita, Oncorhynchus chaicha, Oncorhynchus kisuch, Oncorhynchus macewand Oncorhynchus rhodurus, Atlantic salmon, Salmo sala, and Danube salmon, Hucho, 0305.42.00 Herrings. Cluppi herringus, Cluppi 5 policii, 0305.43.00 Trout, Salmo trutta, Oncorhynchus 5 micus, Oncorhynchus clarki, Oncorhynchus aguabonita, Oncorhynchus july, Oncorhynchus apache and Oncorhynchus chrysogaster, 0305.44.00 Tilapias, Oreochromes species, Catfish 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, 58 Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharyngodon pius, Catla catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti. Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0305.49.00 Other 5 dried fish, other than edible fish offal, whether or not salted but not smoked. 0305.51.00 Cod 50305.52.00 Tilapias, Oreochromis species, Catfish 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharyngodon pius, Catla catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0305.53.00 Fish of the families Brachmacerotidae, 559 Euclycthiidae, Gadidae, Macraridae, Melanonidae, Merluxiidae, Moridae, and Murinolepididae, other than cod, Gadus morhua, Gadus agak, Gadus macrocephalus. 0305.54.00 Herrings, Cluppi herringus, Cluppi 5 Policii, anchovies, Ingroiles species, sardines, Sardina pilchardus, Sardinops species, Sardinella, Sardinella species, bristling or sprats, Spratus spratus, mackerel, Scomber scombrus, Scomber australassicus, Scomber japonicus, Indian. Mackerels, Rastrelliger species, seer fishes, Scomberomoras species, jack and horse mackerel, Trachurus species, jacks, crevalles, Currunx species, cobia, Rachicentron canatum, silver pomfrets, pampas species, Pacific sari, Cololabicera, scads, Decapterus species, capelin, Malletus villicis, swordfish, Xiphias gladius, kawakawa, Euthinus affinis, bonitos, Sarda species, marlins, sailfishes, spearfish, Istiophoridae. 0305.59.00 Other 560 Fish, salted but not dried or smoked and fish in brine, other than edible fish offal. 0305.61.00 Herrings, Cluppi herring, Cluppi 5 Policii. 0305.62.00 Cod 50305.63.00 Anchovies 50305.64.00 Tilapias, Oreochromis species, Catfish 5, Pongasus species, Silurus species, Clarias species, Ictalurus species, Carp, Cyprinus species, Carasus species, Tenepharingodon idalis, Hypophthalmichthys species, Syrinus species, Mylopharyngodon pius, Catla catla, Labio species, Osteochilus hasselti, Leptobarbus hoevini, Megalobrama species, eels, Anguilla species, Nile perch, Lates niloticus, and snakeheads, Channa species. 0305.69.00 Other 5 fish fins, heads, tails, maws and other edible fish offal. 0305.71.00 Shark fins 50305.72.00 Fish heads, tails and maws 50305.79.00 Other 561.03.06 Crustaceans, whether in shell or not, live, fresh, chilled, frozen, dried, salted or in brine, smoked crustaceans, whether in shell or not, whether or not cooked before or during the smoking process, crustaceans, in shell, cooked by steaming or by boiling in water, whether or not chilled, frozen, dried, salted, or in brine. Flowers, meals and pellets frozen, 0306.11.00 rock lobster and other sea crawfish 50306.12.00 lobsters 50306.14.00 crabs 50306.15.00 Norway lobsters, Nephrops norvegicus, 50306.16.00 cold water shrimps and prawns 5, Pandala species, Krang and Krangen, 0306.17.00 other shrimps and prawns 50306.19.00 other, including flowers, meals and 5 pellets of crustaceans, fit for human consumption live, fresh or chilled 0306.31.00 rock lobster and other sea crawfish 5, Palinurus species, Panulurus species, Jajas. 62 species. 0306.32.00 lobsters, Homerus species. 50306.33.00 crabs 50306.34.00 Norway lobsters, Nephrops norvegicus, 50306.35.00 cold water shrimps and prawns 5, Pandala species, Krang and Krangen, 0306.36.00 other shrimps and prawns 50306.39.00 other, including flowers, meals and 5 pellets of crustaceans, fit for human consumption other 0306.91.00 rock lobster and other sea crawfish 5, Palinurus species, Panulurus species, Jajas species. 0306.92.00 lobsters, Homerus species. 50306.93.00 crabs 50306.94.00 Norway lobsters, Nephrops norvegicus, 50306.95.00 shrimps and prawns 50306.99.00 other, including flowers, meals and 5 pellets of crustaceans, fit for human consumption 03.07 mollusks, whether in shell or not, live, 63 fresh, chilled, frozen, dried, salted or in brine, smoked mollusks, whether in shell or not, whether or not cooked before or during the smoking process, flowers, meals and pellets of mollusks, fit for human consumption oysters, 0307.11.00 live. Fresh or chilled 50307.12.00 frozen 50307.19.00 other 5 scallops, including queen scallops, of the genera Pecten clamus or Placopecten 0307.21.00 live, fresh or chilled 50307.22.00 frozen 50307.29.00 other 5 mussels, 0307.31.00 live, fresh or chilled 50307.32.00 frozen 50307.39.00 other 5 cuttlefish and squid, 0307.42.00 live, fresh or chilled 564.0307.43.00 frozen 50307.49.00 other 5 octopus, octopus species 0307.51.00 live, fresh or chilled 50307.52.00 frozen 50307.59.00 other 5. 0307.60.00 snails, other than sea snails 5 clams, cockles and arc shells, families Arcidae, Arcticidae, Cardiidae, Donicidae, Hyatalidae, Mactridae, Mesodesmatidae, Myidae, Semelidae, Solicurtidae, Solanidae, Tridacnidae, and Veneridae 0307.71.00 live, fresh chilled 50307.72.00 frozen 50307.79.00 other 5 abalone, Haliotis species, and Stromboid conchs, Strombus species, 0307.81.00 live, fresh or chilled abalone, Haliotis 5 species. 0307.82.00 live, fresh or chilled Stromboid conchs 5, Strombus species. 6503007.83.00 frozen abalone, Haliotis species. 50307.84.00 frozen stromboid conchs, Strombus 5 species. 0307.87.00 other abalone, Haliotis species. 50307.88.00 other stromboid conchs, Strombus species. 5 other, including flowers, meals and pellets, fit for human consumption, 0307.91.00 live, fresh or chilled 50307.92.00 frozen 50307.99.00 other 503.08 aquatic invertebrates other than crustaceans and mollusks, live, fresh, chilled, frozen, dried, salted or in brine, smoked aquatic invertebrates other than crustaceans and mollusks, whether or not cooked before or during the smoking process, flowers, meals and pellets of aquatic invertebrates other than crustaceans and mollusks, fit for human consumption. Sea cucumbers, Stichopus japonicus, Holothuroidea 0308.11.00 live, fresh or chilled 5660308.12.00 frozen 50308.19.00 other 5 sea urchins, Strongylocentrodus species, Paracentrotus lividus, Loxgenus albus, Echinus esculentus, 0308.21.00 live, fresh or chilled 50308.22.00 frozen 50308.29.00 other 50308.30.00 jellyfish, Rapilma species. 50308.90.00 other 508.01 coconuts, Brazil nuts, and cashew nuts, fresh or dried, whether or not shelled or peeled coconuts 0801.11.00 dried 508.02 other nuts, fresh or dried, whether or not shelled or peeled. Almond, 0802.11.00 in shell 50802.12.00 not shelled 5 hazelnut or filbert 67 0802.21.00 802.22.00 802.400802.5 in shell 5 not shelled 5 walnuts, in shell 5 not shelled 5 chestnuts, Castanea species in shell 5 not shelled 5 pistachios, in shell 5 shelled 5 macadamia nuts, in shell 5 not shelled 5 cola nuts, cola species. 5 areca nuts Rs 25/ per kg other Rs 25/ per kg dates, figs, pineapples, avocados, guavas, mangoes, and mangosteens, fresh 68 or dried 0804.10.00 dates 5 figs, 0804.20.90 others 508.06 grapes, fresh or dried 0806.20.00 dried 508.09 apricots, cherries, peaches, including nectarines, plums, and sloes, fresh 0809.10.00 apricots 508.12 fruit and nuts, provisionally preserved, for example, by sulfur dioxide gas, in brine, in sulfur water or in other preservative solutions, but unsuitable in that state for immediate consumption 0812.10.00 cherries 50812.90.00 other 508.13 fruit, dried, other than that of headings 08.01 to 08.06, Mixtures of nuts or dried fruits of this chapter 0813.10.00 apricots 50813.20.00 prunes 50813.40.00 other fruit 569.081.3009.0060906.11.006.19.00 0.10.01404.90.10.016.01140.90.16.02160.0.00 mixtures of nuts or dried fruits of this 5 chapter cinnamon and cinnamon tree flowers neither crushed nor ground. Cinnamon, Cundamomum zelanicum 5 bloom, other 5 crushed or ground 5 vegetable products not elsewhere specified or included others, semi-processed catechu of acacia Rs 17 per kg, liquid catha, catechu of acacia, kathas, Rs 155 per kg leaves for rolling cigarettes 5 sausages and similar products, of meat, 10 meat offal or blood, food preparations based on these products other prepared or preserved meat, meat offal or blood homogenous preparations 1071.602.20.00 of liver of any animal 10 of poultry of heading 01.05, 1602.31.00 of turkeys 101602.32.00 of fowls of the species Gallus 10 domesticus 1602.39.00 other 10 of swine, 1602.41.00 hams and cuts thereof 101602.42.00 shoulders and cuts thereof 101602.49.00 other, including mixtures 101602.50.00 of bovine animals 101602.90.00 other, including preparations of blood of 10 any animal 16.031603.00.00 extracts and juices of meat, fish, or 10 crustaceans, mollusks or other aquatic invertebrates 16.04 prepared or preserved fish. Caviar and caviar substitutes prepared from fish eggs fish, whole or in pieces, but not minced, 604.11.00 salmon 10.604.12.00 herrings 10.71.604.13.00 sardines, sardinella and bristling or sprats 10.604.14.00 tunas, skipjack and bonito, sarda species. 10.604.15.00 mackerel 10.604.16.00 anchovies 10.604.17.00 eels 10.604.18.00 shark fins 10.604.19.00 other 10.604.20.00 other prepared or preserved fish 10 caviar and caviar substitutes 604.31.00 caviar 10.604.32.00 caviar substitutes 10.16.05 crustaceans, mollusks, and other aquatic invertebrates, prepared or preserved 1605.10.00 crab 10 shrimps and prawns, 1605.21.00 not in airtight container 10.1605.29.00 other 10.1605.30.00 lobster 10.1605.40.00 other crustaceans 10 mollusks, 1605.51.00 oysters 1072 1605.52.00 1605.53.00 1605.54.00 1605.55.00 1605.56.00 1605.57.00 1605.58.00 1605.59.00 17.01 1605.61.00 1605.62.00 1605.63.00 1605.69.00 1701.13.10 scallops, including queen scallops 10 mussels 10 cuttlefish and squid 10 octopus 10 clams, cockles and archshells 10 abalone 10 snails, other than sea snails 10 other aquatic invertebrates, sea cucumbers 10 sea urchins 10 jellyfish 10 other 10 cane or beet sugar and chemically pure sucrose, in solid form. Raw sugar not containing added flavoring or coloring matter cane sugar specified in subheading Note 2 to this chapter, Sakhar, good and veli, only in import, Rs. 0.138 per quintal 73 17.03 17.04 18.05 18.06 1701.14.10 1703.10.00 1703.90.00 1704.10.00 1704.90.00 other sugar of sugar cane jaggery, good and veli, only in import, Rs. 0.138 per quintal molasses resulting from the extraction or refining of sugar cane molasses Rs. 96 per kunchal other Rs. 96 per kunchal. Sugar confectionery, including white chocolate, not containing cocoa chewing gum, whether or not sugar 10 coated other 5 cocoa powder, not containing added 5 sugar or other sweetening matter chocolate and other food preparations containing cocoa powder, containing added sugar 5 or other sweetening matter other preparations in blocks, slabs, or 5 billion Argentine pesos weighing more than 2 kilograms or in liquid, paste, powder, granular or other 74 19.02 1806.31.00 1806.32.00 1806.10.90 1806.90.90.90 1902.19.00 1902.20.00 bulk form in containers or immediate packings, of a content exceeding 2 kilograms other, in blocks, slabs or bars, filled 5 not filled 5 other products under heading 19.04 having 5 more than 6% of cocoa in weight or if not 6% but coated by chocolates in calculation on fully defatted basis other 5 pasta, whether or not cooked or stuffed, with meat or other substances, or otherwise prepared, such as spaghetti, macaroni, noodles, lasagna, gnocchi, ravioli, cannelloni. Couscous, whether or not prepared uncooked pasta, not stuffed or otherwise prepared containing eggs Rs 17 per kg other Rs 17 per kg stuffed pasta, whether or not cooked or Rs 17 per kg 75 19.05 1902.30.00 1902.40.00 1905.90.20 1905.90.30 20.01 1905.90.81 1905.90.89 20.0 1.0.002.002.10.00 otherwise prepared other pasta Rs 17 per kg couscous Rs 17 per kg tapioca and substitutes therefore prepared from starch, in the form of flakes, grains, pearls, siftings or in similar forms. Other kurmur, lays, cheese ball Rs 17 per kg chips 5 kurmur, food products of spicy nature and other crisp savory not fried Rs 17 per kg others Rs 17 per kg vegetables, fruit, nuts and other edible parts of plants, prepared or preserved by vinegar or acetic acid cucumbers and gherkins 10 other 10 tomatoes prepared or preserved otherwise than by vinegar or acetic acid tomatoes, whole or in pieces 1076 20.032002.90.00 20.042003.90.002004.10.00 October 10, 2004 2004.10.90 2004.90.00 20.05 2005.10.00 2005.20.10 other 10 mushrooms and truffles, prepared or preserved otherwise than by vinegar or acetic acid. Mushrooms of the genus Agaricus. 10 other vegetables prepared or preserved otherwise than by vinegar or acetic acid, frozen, other than products of heading 20.06. Potatoes. French fries. 10 others. 10 other vegetables and mixtures of 10 vegetables. Other vegetables prepared or preserved otherwise than by vinegar or acetic acid, not frozen, other than products of heading 20.06. Homogeneous vegetables. 10 potatoes. Potato chips are 17 per kg. 77,2005.20.90. Other 10,2005.40.00. Peas. 10 beans, Vigna spp. Phaseolus species. 2005.51.00. beans, not shelled. 10,2005.59.00. Other 10,2005.60.00. Asparagus. 10,2005.70.00. Olives. 10,2005.80.00. Sweet corn. 10 other vegetables and mixtures of vegetables. 2005.91.00. Bamboo shoots. 10,2005.99.00. Other 1020.06. 2006.00.00. Vegetables. Fruit, nuts, fruit peel and 10 other parts of plants, preserved by sugar, drained, glacé or crystallized. 20.07. Jams, fruit jellies, marmalades, fruit or nut puree and fruit or nut pastes, obtained by cooking whether or not containing added sugar or other sweetening matter. 2007.10.00. Homogeneous preparations. 10 other, 78,2007.91.00. Citrus fruit. 10,2007.99.00. Other 1020.08. Fruit, nuts and other edible parts of plants, otherwise prepared or preserved, whether or not containing added sugar or other sweetening matter or spirit, not elsewhere specified or included. Nuts, ground nuts and other seeds, whether or not mixed together. 2008.11.00. Ground nuts. 5 other, including mixtures. 2008.19.10. Dried or dried salted gram. 5 2008.19.20. Dried or dried salted cashew nuts. 5 2008.19.30. Dried or dried salted pistachio. 5 2008.19.40. Dried or dried salted almond. 5 2008.19.90. Other. 5 2008.20.00. Pineapple. 5 2008.30.00. Citrus fruit. 5 2008.40.00. Pears. 5 2008.50.00. Apricots. 5 2008.60.00. Cherries. 5 2008.70.00. Peaches, including nectarines. 579.2008.80.00. 2008.91.00. 2008.93.00. 2008.97.00. 20.09. 2008.99.90. 2009.11.00. 2009.12.00. 2009.19.00. Strawberries, ground berries, red. 5 berries, other, including mixtures other than those of subheading 2008.19, palm hearts. 5 cranberries, Vaccinium macrocarpon, 5 Vaccinium oxycoccos, Vaccinium viticidea, mixtures. 5 other 5 fruit juices, including grape must and vegetable juices, unfermented and not containing added spirit, whether or not containing added sugar or other sweetening matter. Orange juice, frozen. Rs. 0.11 per ltr. Not frozen, of a Brix value. Not Rs. 0.11 per ltr exceeding 20. Other. Rs. 0.11 per ltr. Grapefruit, including pomelo, juice. 82,009.21.00. 2009.29.00. 2009.31.00. 2009.39.00. 2009.41.00. 2009.49.00. 2009.50.00. 2009.61.00. 2009.69.00. 0.9.00209.79.00009.81009.000 of a Brix value not exceeding 20 Rs. 0.11 per LTR other Rs. 0.11 per LTR. Juice of any other single citrus fruit, of a Brix value not exceeding 20 Rs. 0.11 per LTR other Rs. 0.11 per LTR pineapple juice, of a Brix value not exceeding 20 Rs. 0.11 per LTR other Rs. 0.11 per LTR tomato juice Rs. 0.11 per LTR grape juice, including grape must, of a Brix value not exceeding 30 Rs. 0.11 per LTR other Rs. 0.11 per LTR apple juice, of a Brix value not exceeding 20 Rs. 0.11 per LTR other Rs. 0.11 per LTR juice of any other single fruit or vegetable, cranberry, Vaccinium macrocarpon, Rs. 0.11 per LTR. Vaccinium oxycoccos, Vaccinium vitacidea, juice other Rs. 0.11 per LTR 81.010.001.110.00210.001.20.021.20.00210.001.30.000 mixtures of juices Rs. 0.11 per LTR extracts, essences, and concentrates, of coffee, tea or mate and preparations with a basis of these products or with a basis of coffee, tea, or mate, roasted chicory and other roasted coffee substitutes, and extracts, essences and concentrates thereof extracts, essences and concentrates of coffee, and preparations with a basis of these extracts, essences, or concentrates or with a basis of coffee extracts, essences and concentrate 10 preparations with a basis of extracts, 10 essences or concentrates or with a basis of coffee extracts, essences and concentrates, of 10 tea or mate, and preparations with a basis of these extracts, essences, or concentrates or with a basis of tea or mate ast chicory and other roasted coffee 10 substitutes, and extracts, essences and concentrates thereof 82 21.05 21.06 22.02 22.03 21.005.21.06.90.102.106.901.02202.999.1022022.999.1022023.00.00 CE cream and other edible ice, whether or 10 not containing cocoa. Food preparations not elsewhere specified or included other dalmat, papad, salted, bujaya and 5 kamina, tidbits, pan masala without tobacco Rs 812 per kg scented areca nuts without tobacco Rs 0.281 per kg waters, including mineral waters and aerated waters, containing added sugar or other sweetening matter or flavored, and other non-alcoholic beverages, not including fruit or vegetable juices of heading 20.09. Other non-alcoholic beer Rs 20 per LTR other energy drinks Rs 36 per LTR other Rs 14 per LTR beer made from malt Rs 198 per LTR 83 22.04 October 10th, 2204 October 20th, 2204 October 30th, 2204 2204.21.02204.21.202204.21.302204.2210 wine of fresh grapes, including fortified wines, grape must other than that of heading 20.09. Sparkling wine up to 12% alcohol, for import Rs 444 per only, LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 0.516 per LTR other wine, grape must with fermentation prevented or arrested by the addition of alcohol, in containers holding 2L or less up to 12% alcohol, for import Rs 444 per only, LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR in containers holding more than 2 liters but not more than 10 liters up to 12% alcohol, For import Rs 444 per only, LTR 842204.22.20.2204.29.102204.30.102204.30.2205 October 10, 2205 more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR other up to 12% alcohol, for import Rs 444 per only, LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR. Other grape must, up to 12% alcohol Rs 444 per LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR vermouth and other wine of fresh grapes flavored with plants or aromatic substances in containers holding 2L or less up to 12% alcohol. For import Rs 444 per 85 22.06 October 20th, 2205 October 30th, 2205 2205.90.202206.00.2006.00.30.40 only, LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR other up to 12% alcohol, for import Rs 444 per only, LTR more than 12% and up to 17 Rs 444 per percent alcohol LTR more than 17% alcohol Rs 516 per LTR other fermented beverages, for example, cider, perry, mead, sake, mixtures of fermented beverages and mixtures of fermented beverages and non-alcoholic beverages, not elsewhere specified or included Chang, country beer, Rs 43 per LTR champagne. Sherry, mid, perry, cider Rs 516 per LTR produced abroad cider produced domestically, shake, Rs 516 per LTR liquor, cocktail, Rs 516 per 8622.072206.00.90 October 10th, 2207 October 20th, 2207 October 30th, 2207 2207.10.402207.10.90 alcoholic/non-alcoholic LTR mixture, and other fermented liquor having more than 17% of alcohol other Rs 516 per LTR undenatured ethyl alcohol of an alcoholic strength by volume of 80% vol. Or higher, ethyl alcohol and other spirits, denatured, of any strength undenatured ethyl alcohol of an alcoholic strength by volume of 80% vol. Or higher undenatured ethyl alcohol Rs 70 per LTR rectified spirit to be used as raw Rs 70 per LTR material of liquor having 80% or more volume of alcohol ENA, extra neutral alcohol, Rs 76 per LTR anhydrous ethanol, having more than 99 Rs 9 per LTR percent alcohol, others Rs 76 per LTR ethyl alcohol and other spirits, denatured, of any strength 87.20.20.10.20.20.20.20.20.20.20.20.92208.20.92220.20.923 denatured spirit, having alcohol of 82 Rs 20 per LTR 99%. Others are 76 per LTR undenatured ethyl alcohol of an alcoholic strength by volume of less than 80% vol, spirits, liqueurs, and other spirituous beverages spirits obtained by distilling grape wine or grape marc, All kinds of alcoholic fluids including Rs 198 per spirits used as raw material of wine or LTR brandy other ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592/per, having 48.5% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1872/per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188/per, having 42.8% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 0.1105/per, having 39.94% alcohol, LTR 882208.20.9122008.30.9222008.30.9222008.30.9322008.30.999 Rs. 0.1578 per LP LTR others Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR whiskeys spirit to use as raw material of whiskey Rs. 0.198 per LTR others ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592 per, having 48.5% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188 per, having 42.8% alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 0.1105 per, having 39.94% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP LTR others Rs. 0.1592 per LTR 892208.40.9222008.40.9322008.40.9922008.9322008.50.9922008.50.10 Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR rum and other spirits obtained by distilling fermented sugarcane products alcoholic fluids including spirits used as Rs. 198 per raw materials of rum and other spirits LTR obtained by distilling fermented sugarcane products other ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592 per, having 48.5% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188 per, having 42.8% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 1105 per, having 39.94% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP LTR others Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR gin and Geneva. Alcoholic fluids including spirits used as Rs. 0.198 per LTR raw materials of gin and Geneva 922008.50.9222008.50.9322008.50.9922008.60.10 other ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592 per, having 48.5% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188 per, having 42.8% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 0.1105 per, having 39.94% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP LTR other Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.18720 per LP LTR vodka alcoholic fluids including spirits used as Rs. 0.198 per LTR raw materials of vodka other ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592 per, having 48.5% alcohol, LTR 912208.60.9222008.60.9922008.70.1022008.70.9122008.70.992 Rs. 0.1872 per LP LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188 per, having 42.8% alcohol, LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP. LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 0.1105 per, having 39.94% alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP. LTR other Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP. LTR liquors and cordials alcoholic fluids including spirits used as Rs. 0.198 per LTR raw materials of liquors and cordials other ready-made liquor of 15 UP power Rs. 0.1592 per, having 48.5% alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP. LTR ready-made liquor of 25 UP power Rs. 0.1188 per 92.208.70.9322008.90.12208.90.1022008.90.92, having 42.8% alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP. LTR ready-made liquor of 30 UP power Rs. 0.1105 per, having 39.94% alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP. LTR other Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP. LTR other alcoholic fluids including spirits used as Rs. 0.198 per LTR raw materials of liquor other liquor of 15 UP power, having 48.5 Rs. 0.1592 per percent alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP. LTR liquor of 25 UP power, having 42.8 Rs. 0.1188 per percent alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1584 per LP. LTR 932208.90.9422008.90.9522008.90.9622008.90.99 note liquor of 30 UP power, having 39.94 Rs. 0.1105 per percent alcohol. LTR Rs. 0.1578 per LP. LTR liquor of 40 UP power, having 34.23 Rs. 0.555 per LTR percent alcohol. Rs. 0.924 per LP. LTR liquor of 50 UP power, having 28.53 Rs. 0.450 per LTR percent alcohol. Rs. 0.900 per LP. LTR liquor of 70 UP power, having 17.12 Rs. 0.42 per LTR percent alcohol. Rs. 0.138 per LP. LTR other Rs. 0.1592 per LTR Rs. 0.1872 per LP. LTR provided that for the imported liquor, even if up to 1% is varied to the above mentioned rate, such rate shall be applicable, and if variation is more than 1%, excise duty shall be imposed and collected in accordance with the closest highest rate.
94.092401230401.00401.002402402.0024002.20.1024002.20.1024002.20.22 ready-made goods used as food of animals, food for dog or cat, kept for retail sale. 10 unmanufactured tobacco, tobacco refuse tobacco, not stemmed/stripped Rs. 0.118 per kg tobacco, partly or wholly Rs. 0.118 per stemmed/stripped kg tobacco refuse Rs. 0.118 per kg cigars, cheroots, cigarillos, and cigarettes, of tobacco or of tobacco substitutes. Cigars, cheroots, and cigarillos, Rs. 0.21 per containing tobacco stick. Cigarettes containing tobacco not filtered Rs. 0.618 per m filtered in a length up to 70 mm Rs. 0.1418 per m in a length from 70 mm up to 75 mm Rs. 0.1843 per m. 952402.202.23402.20.24240.290.10.10.240.2.90.20.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.202.
3.19.0.20 in a length from 75 mm up to 85 mm Rs.2400 per m in a length more than 85 mm Rs.3393 per m. Other ready-made BD Rs.94 per m. All kinds of cigar Rs.21 per stick. Other Rs.21 per stick. Other manufactured tobacco and manufactured tobacco substitutes, homogenized or reconstituted tobacco, tobacco extracts and essences. Smoking tobacco, whether or not containing tobacco substitutes in any proportion. Water pipe tobacco specified in Rs.1668 per subheading Note 1 to this chapter. Kg other pipe tobacco Rs.1668 per kg. Processed tobacco for cigarette and Rs 343 per 96 2403.99.02403.99.20 3.99.30240.3.99.9125.152403.99.99 BDs kg. Other Rs 343 per kg. Other homogenized or reconstituted Rs 418 per tobacco kg. Other jarda, kahini, snuff, gutka and similar Rs 812 per. Preparations containing chewing tobacco kg. Packed chewing tobacco, to be mixed in Rs 418 per. Lime, put up for retail sale kg. Cut tobacco, dust tobacco not for retail Rs 418 per sale kg. Other hookah faldour Rs.1200 per kg. Other Rs.418 per kg. Marble, travertine, ecausin and other calcareous monumental or building stone of an apparent specific gravity of 2.5 or more, and alabaster, whether or not roughly trimmed or merely cut, by 97 sawing or otherwise, into blocks or slabs of a rectangular, including square, shape. Marble and travertine 2515.12.00 merely cut, by sawing or otherwise, into 5 blocks or slabs of a rectangular, including square, shape. 2515.20.00 ecausin and other calcareous 5 monumental or building stone, alabaster 25.16 granite, porphyry, basalt, sandstone, and other monumental or building stone, whether or not roughly trimmed or merely cut, by sawing or otherwise, into blocks or slabs of a rectangular, including square, shape. Granite, 2516.12.00 merely cut, by sawing or otherwise, into 15 blocks or slabs of a rectangular, including square, shape. Sandstone 2516.20.10 merely cut, or uncut rectangular shape, 15 pebbles, up to 2.5 inch. 2516.20.20 merely cut, or uncut pebbles of more 15 than 2.5 inch. 9825.23 32.08 2516.20.30 2516.90.00 2523.21.00 2523.29.00 2523.30.00 2523.90.00 3208.10.00 merely cut, or uncut pebbles and 15. Mixture of sand, sandstone, other monumental or building stone 15 Portland cement, alumina cement, slag cement, supersulfate cement, and similar hydraulic cements, whether or not colored or in the form of clinkers. Portland cement, white cement, whether or not artificially Rs.220 per colored MT. Other, brown Portland cement, Rs.220 per MT. Alumina cement Rs.220 per MT. Other hydraulic cements Rs.220 per MT. Paints and varnishes, including enamels and lacquers, based on synthetic polymers or chemically modified natural polymers, dispersed or dissolved in a non-aqueous medium, solutions as defined in Note 4 to this chapter based on polyesters 799.3208.20.00 based on acrylic or vinyl polymers 73208.90.00. Other 732.09 paints and varnishes, including enamels and lacquers, based on synthetic polymers or chemically modified natural polymers,
dispersed or dissolved in an aqueous medium 3209.10.00 acrylic emulsion 7320.90.90 other 7320.90.00 other 732.10 other paints and varnishes, including enamels, lacquers and distempers, prepared water pigments of a kind used for finishing leather 3210.00.10 thermoplastic road marking material 73210.00.90 other 732.14 glaziers putty, grafting putty, resin cements, caulking compounds and other mastics, painters fillings, non-refractory surfacing preparation for facades, indoor walls, floors, ceilings, or the like. 3214.10.00 glaziers putty, grafting putty, resin 5 cements, caulking compounds and other 100 mastics, painters fillings 3214.90.00 other 533.02 mixtures of odoriferous substances and mixtures, including alcoholic solutions, with a basis of one or more of these substances, of a kind used as raw materials in industry, other preparations based on odoriferous substances, of a kind used for the manufacture of beverages to be used in food and drink industry, 3302.10.10 odor refresh substances. Used in 5-alcoholic solution 33.033303.00.00 perfumes and toilet waters 733.04 beauty or makeup preparations and preparations for the care of the skin, other than medicaments, including sunscreen or suntan preparations, manicure or pedicure preparations 3304.10.00 lip makeup preparations 5334.20.00 eye makeup preparations 5 manicure or pedicure preparations 3304.10.30 nail polish 5 101 3304.90.30 other 5334.91.00 powders, whether or not compressed 5 other 3304.99.10 facial cream 5. 3304.99.20 NaL Polish 5 3304.99.30 Body Lotion 5 3304.99.90 Other 533.05 Preparations for use on the hair 3305.10.00 Shampoo 5 3305.20.00 Preparations for permanent waving or 5 Straightening 3305.30.00 Hair lacquers 5 Other 3305.90.10 Hair oil 10 3305.90.20 Hair color 10 3305.90.30 Hair cream 10 3305.90.40 Hair conditioner 10 3305.90.90 Other 1033.06 Preparations for oral or dental hygiene, including denture fixative pastes and powders, yarn used to clean between the 102 teeth, dental floss. In individual retail packages 3306.10.00 dentifrices 5336.20.00 yarn used to clean between the teeth 5, dental floss, 3306.90.00 other 533.07 pre-shave, shaving or aftershave reparations, personal deodorants, bath preparations, depilatories, and other perfumery, cosmetic or toilet preparations, not elsewhere specified or included, prepared room deodorizers, whether or not perfumed or having disinfectant properties 3307.10.00 pre-save, saving, or after-save 5 preparations 3307.20.00 personal deodorants and antiperspirants 10 3307.30.00 perfumed bath salts and other bath 5 preparations for perfuming or deodorizing rooms, including odoriferous preparations used during religious rites, 103 3307.49.00 other 10 3307.90.00 other 534.01 soap, organic surface active products and preparations for use as soap, in the form of bars, cakes, molded pieces or shapes, whether or not containing soap, organic surface active products and preparations for washing the skin, in the form
of liquid or cream and put up for retail sale, whether or not containing soap, paper, wadding, felt and nonwovens, impregnated, coated or covered with soap or detergent. 3401.11.00 for toilet use, including medicated 5 products. 3401.19.00 Other 5 soap in other forms. 3401.20.20 Soap noodles. 5 3401.20.90 Other 5 3401.30.00 Organic surface active products and 5 preparations for washing the skin, in the form of liquid or cream and put up for retail sale, whether or not containing 104.34.02. 3402.11.00 3402.12.00 3402.13.00 3402.19.00 3402.20.10 3402.20.90 38.14 3402.90.90 3814.00.00 Soap. Organic surface active agents, other than soap, surface active preparations, washing preparations, including auxiliary washing preparations, and cleaning preparations, whether or not containing soap, other than those of heading 34.01. Organic surface active agents, whether or not put up for retail sale, anionic 5 cationic 5 non-ionic 5 other 5 preparations put up for retail sale detergent powder 5 other 5 organic composite solvents and Rs.22 per LTR thinners, not elsewhere specified or included, prepared paint or varnish removers 105 39.17 tubes, pipes and hoses of plastic, long stretchable tubes, and their installations like joints, elbows, plans 3917.00.10 sausage casing of non-bubble protein or 5 cellular objects tubes, pipes and hoses of plastic, long stretchable tubes, strong 3917.00.21 of polymer of ethylene 5 3917.00.22 of polymer of propylene 5 3917.00.23 of polymer of vinyl chloride 5 3917.00.29 of other plastics 5 other tubes, pipes and hoses of plastic, long stretchable tubes, 3917.00.31 tubes, pipes and hoses of plastic, long 5 stretchable tubes, having minimum burst pressure of 27.6 MPa 3917.00.32 other, reinforced or not mixed with 5 other substance, except fitting, goods like equipment, spare parts, 3917.00.33 other, reinforced or not mixed with 5 other substance, including fitting, goods like equipment, spare parts, 3917.00.39 other 5 106 3917.00.40 fittings, goods like equipment, spare 5 parts, 39.20 other plates, sheets, film, foil and strip, of plastics, non-cellular and not reinforced, laminated, supported of polymers of ethylene 3920.10.10 printed 5 3920.10.90 other 5 of polymers of propylene 3920.20.10 printed 5 3920.20.90 other 5 of polymers of styrene 3920.30.10 printed 5 3920.30.90 other 5 of polymers of vinyl chloride, containing by weight not less than 6% of plastic isers 3920.43.10 of polymers 5 3920.43.90 other 5 other 3920.49.10 printed 5 107 3920.49.90 other 5 of acrylic polymers, of poly, methyl methacrylate, 3920.51.10 of polymers 5 3920.51.90 other 5 other 3920.59.10 printed 5 3920.59.90 other 5 of polycarbonates, alkyd resins, polyallyl esters or other polyesters, of polycarbonates 3920.61.10 printed 5 3920.61.90 other 5 of poly, ethylene terephthalate, 3920.62.10 printed 5 3920.62.90 other 5 of unsaturated polyesters 3920.63.10 printed 5 3920.63.90 other 5 of other polyesters 3920.69.10 printed 5 108 3920.69.90 other 5 of cellulose or its chemical derivatives of regenerated cellulose 3920.71.10 printed 5 3920.71.90 other 5 of cellulose acetate 3920.73.10 printed 5 3920.73.90 other 5 of other cellulose derivatives 3920.79.10 printed 5 3920.79.90 other 5 of other plastics of polyvinyl butyryl 3920.91.10 printed 5 3920.91.90 other 5 of polyamides 3920.92.10 printed 5 3920.92.90 other 5 of amino resins 3920.93.10 printed 5 109 3920.93.90 other 5 of phenolic resins 3920.94.10 printed 5 3920.94.90 other 5 of other plastics 3920.99.10 printed 5 3920.99.90 other 5 39.21 other plates, sheets, film, foil and strip, of plastic cellular, of polymers of styrene 3921.11.10 printed 5 3921.11.90 other 5 of polymers of vinyl chloride 3921.12.10 printed 5 3921.12.90 other 5 of polyurethanes 3921.13.10 printed 5 3921.13.90 other 5 of regenerated cellulose 3921.14.10 printed 5 110 3921.14.90 other 5 of other plastics 3921.19.10 printed 5 3921.19.90 other 5 other 3921.90.10 printed 5 other 3921.90.91 thermocol 5 3921.90.92 decorative laminate sheets like Sunmica 5 and Formica 3921.90.99 other 539.22 baths, shower baths, sinks, wash basins, bidets, lavatory pans, seats and covers, flushing cisterns and similar sanitary ware, of plastics 3922.10.00 baths, shower baths, sinks and wash 5 basins. 3922.20.00 lavatory seats and covers 5 3922.90.00 other 539.23 articles for the conveyance or packing of goods, of plastics, stoppers, lids, caps 111 and other closures, of plastics boxes, cases, crates and similar articles, 3923.10.10 packing tubes of plastic 53923.10.20 egg crates 53923.10.90 other 5 sacks and bags, including cones 3923.21.00 of polymers of ethylene 53923.29.00 of other plastics 5 carboys, bottles, flasks, and similar articles, 3923.30.10 PET bottle, bottle preform, 5. 3923.30.90 other 5 3923.50.00 stoppers, lids, caps, and other closures 5 other 3923.90.10 composite LPG gas cylinder 5 3923.90.90 other 539.24 tableware, kitchenware, other household articles and hygienic or toilet articles, of plastics tableware and kitchenware, 3924.10.10 infant feeding bottles 5 112 3924.10.20 melamine ware 5 3924.10.90 other 5 3924.90.90 other 539.25 builders wares of plastics, not elsewhere specified or included 3925.10.00 reservoirs, tanks, vats, and similar 5 containers. of a capacity exceeding 300 L 3925.20.00 doors, windows, and their frames, and 5 thresholds for doors 3925.30.00 shutters, blinds, including Venetian 5 blinds, and similar articles and parts thereof. Other 3925.90.20 puff sandwich wall and roof panel 5 3925.90.30 aluminum composite panel 5 3925.90.90 other 539.26 other articles of plastics and articles of other materials of headings 39.01 to 39.14 3926.10.00 office or school supplies 5 articles of apparel and clothing 5 113 accessories, including gloves, mittens, and mitts, gloves 3926.20.19 other 5 gown 3926.20.29 other 5 apron 3926.20.39 other 5 3926.20.90 other 5 3926.30.00 fittings for furniture, coachwork, or the 5 like 3926.40.00 statuettes and other ornamental articles 5 other 3926.90.90 other 5 3926.90.91 tarpaulin and tents 5 3926.90.92 label and tags 5 3926.90.94 cloth hangers 5 3926.90.95 turf of artificial plastic grass 5 3926.90.99 other 544.12 plywood, veneered panels and similar laminated wood 114.4412.10.00 of bamboo 5 other plywood, consisting solely of sheets of wood, other than bamboo, each ply not exceeding 6 mm thickness 4412.31.00 with at least one outer ply of tropical 5 wood 4412.33.00 other, with at least one outer ply of non-5 coniferous wood of the species alder, alnus species, ash, fraxinus species, beech, fagus species, birch, betula species, cherry, prunus species, chestnut, castanea species, elm, ulmus species, eucalyptus, eucalyptus species, hickory, carya species, horse chestnut, escula species, lime, tilia species, maple, acer species, oak, quercus species, plane tree, platanus species, poplar and aspen, populus species, robinia, robinia species, tulip wood, liriodendron species, or walnut, juglans species. 4412.34.00 other, with at least one outer ply of non-5 coniferous wood not specified under subheading 4412.33.00 4412.39.00 other, with both outer plies of 5 coniferous wood 115 other 4412.94.00 block board, loam board, and batten board 5 4412.99.00 other 563.05 sacks and bags, of a kind used for the packing of goods of man-made textile materials 6305.33.00 other, of polyethylene or polypropylene 5 strip or the like 64.04 footwear with outer solace of rubber, plastics, leather, or composition. Leather and uppers of textile materials footwear with outer solace of rubber or plastics, sports footwear, tennis shoes, basketball shoes, gym shoes, training shoes, and the like 6404.11.10 canvas shoes having the upper parts of 10 cotton 64.05 other footwear with uppers of textile materials 6405.20.10 cotton textile materials, canvas shoes of 10 cotton, 116.67.02 artificial flowers, foliage, and fruit and parts thereof, articles made of artificial flowers, foliage, or fruit 6702.10.00 of plastics. 106.702.90.00 of other materials 1068.02 worked monumental or building stone, except slate, and articles thereof, other than goods of heading 68.01, mosaic cubes and the like, of natural stone, including slate, whether or not on a backing, artificially colored granules, chippings, and powder, of natural stone, including slate, other monumental or building stone and articles thereof, simply cut or sawn, with a flat or even surface, 6802.21.00 marble, travertine, and alabaster 56802.23.00. Granite 156802.29.00 other stone 5 other 6802.91.00 marble, travertine, and alabaster 56802.92.00 other calcareous stone 56802.93.00 granite 15117 other stone 568.13 friction material and articles thereof, for example, sheets, rolls, strips, segments, discs, washers, pads, not mounted, for brakes, for clutches or the like, with a basis of asbestos, of other mineral substances or of cellulose, whether or not combined with textile or other materials containing asbestos 6813.20.10. Brake linings and pads 56813.20.90 other 5 not containing asbestos, 6813.81.00 brake linings and pads 56813.89.00 other 569.07 ceramic flags and paving, hearth, or wall tiles, ceramic mosaic cubes and the like, whether or not on a backing, finishing ceramics flags and paving, hearth, or wall tiles, other than those of subheading 6907.30 and 6907.40, 6907.21.00 of a water absorption coefficient by 5 118 weight not exceeding 0.5% 6907.22.00 of a water absorption coefficient by 5 weight exceeding 0.5% but not exceeding 10% 6907.23.00 of a water absorption coefficient by 5 weight exceeding 10% 6907.30.00 mosaic cubes and the like, other than 5 those of subheading 6907.40 6907.40.00 finishing ceramics 570.03 cast glass and rolled glass in sheets or profiles, whether or not having an absorbent, reflecting or non-reflecting layer, but not otherwise worked non-wired sheets, 7003.12.00 colored throughout the mass, body 5 tinted, opacified, flashed, or having an absorbent, reflecting or non-reflecting layer 7003.19.00 other 5703.20.00 wired sheets 5703.30.00 profiles 570.04 drawn glass and blown glass, in sheets, whether or not having an absorbent, 119 reflecting or non-reflecting layer, but not otherwise worked 7004.20.00 glass, colored throughout the mass 5, body tinted, opacified, flashed, or having an absorbent, reflecting or non-reflecting layer 7004.90.00 other 570.05 float glass and surface ground or polished glass, in sheets, whether or not having an absorbent, reflecting or non-reflecting layer, but not otherwise work 7005.10.00 non-wired glass, having an absorbent, 5 reflecting or non-reflecting layer other non-wired glass, 7005.21.00 colored throughout the mass, body 5 tinted, opacified, flashed, or merely surface ground 7005.29.00 other 5705.30.00 wired glass 570.067006.00.00 glass of heading 70.03, 70.04 or 70.05, 5 bent edge worked, engraved, drilled, enameled or otherwise worked, but not framed or fitted with other materials 120 70.07 safety glass, consisting of toughened, tempered, or laminated glass toughened, tempered, safety glass 7007.11.00 of size and shape suitable for 5 incorporation in vehicles, aircraft, spacecraft, or vessels 7007.19.00 other 5 laminated safety glass, 7007.21.00 of size and shape suitable for 5 incorporation in vehicles, aircraft, spacecraft, or vessels. 7007.29.00 other 570.087008.00.00 multiple walled insulating units of glass. 570.09 glass mirrors, whether or not framed, including rear view mirrors. 7009.10.00 rear view mirrors for vehicles. 5 other 7009.91.00 unframed. 57009.92.00 framed. 572.07 semi-finished products of iron or non-alloy steel containing by weight less than 0.25% of 121. 72.097207.11.00720 7200720072009.17.0072009.17.0072009.17.0072009.18.00 carbon of rectangular, including square, cross Rs 2500 per section, the width measuring less than mt twice the thickness other, of rectangular, other than square, Rs 2500 per cross. Section mt other Rs 2500 per mount containing by weight 0.25% or more of Rs 2500 per carbon mount. Flat rolled products of iron or non-alloy steel, of a width of 600 mm or more, cold rolled, cold reduced, not clad, plated or coated in coils, not further worked than cold rolled, cold reduced of a thickness of 3 mm or more. Rs 2200 per mount of a thickness exceeding 1 mm but less. Rs 2200 per than 3 mm mount of a thickness of 0.5 mm or more but Rs 2200 per not exceeding 1 mm mount of a thickness of less than 0.5 mm. Rs 2200 per 122 7209.27.002.07209.27.002.07211.3.00211.14.0072111.14.000 mt not in coils, not further worked than cold rolled, cold reduced, of a thickness of 3 mm or more. Rs 2200 per mount of a thickness exceeding 1 mm but less. Rs 2200 per than 3 mm mount of a thickness of 0.5 mm or more but Rs 2200 per not exceeding 1 mm mount of a thickness of less than 0.5 mm. Rs 2200 per mount other Rs 2200 per mount flat rolled products of iron or non-alloy steel, of a width of less than 600 mm, not clad, plated or coated not further worked than hot rolled on 4 faces or in a closed box. Rs 2200 per pass, of a width exceeding 150 mm and mount a thickness of not less than 4 mm, not in coils and without patterns in relief other, of a thickness of 4.75 mm or Rs 2200 per more mount 123 7211.20 3.91.90 other Rs 2200 per mount not further worked than cold rolled, cold reduced, containing by weight less than 0.25% of Rs 2200 per carbon mount other Rs 2200 per mount other Rs 2200 per mount bars and rods, hot rolled, in irregularly wound coils, of iron or non-alloy steel containing indentations, ribs, grooves or Rs 0.2500 per other deformations produced during the MT rolling process other, of free cutting steel, having Rs 0.2500 per higher quantity of suppler, MT of circular cross-section measuring less than 14 mm in diameter, not more than 8 mm Rs.2500 per mt, other Rs.2500 per mt, 124 7213.99.00. 72.14.0.07214.30.07214.91.07214.99.10. Other Rs.2500 per mt, other bars and rods of iron or non-alloy steel, not further worked than forged, hot rolled, hot drawn or hot extruded, but including those twisted after rolling, forged Rs.2500 per mt containing indentations, ribs, grooves, or Rs.2500 per other deformations produced during the MT rolling process or twisted after rolling, other, of free cutting steel Rs.2500 per mt, other of rectangular, other than square, cross Rs.2500 per section mt, other rerollable bar and rod, maximum Rs.2500 per length 1800 mm, width 600 mm and mount thickness 5 mm or more, other Rs.2500 per mt, other bars and rods of iron or non-alloy 125 7215.0.07215.90.00721.00721.6.21.00721.6.21.00721.6.21.00721.6.31.00 steel of free cutting steel, not further worked Rs.2500 per than cold formed or cold finished MT, other, not further worked than cold Rs.2500 per formed or cold finished MT, other Rs.2500 per MT. Angles, shapes and sections of iron or non-alloy steel U, L, or H section, not further worked Rs.2500 per than hot rolled, hot drawn or extruded, of MT, a height of less than 80 mm L or T sections, not further worked than hot rolled, hot drawn or extruded, of a height of less than 80 mm L sections Rs.2500 per mt, T sections Rs.2500 per mt, U, L, or H sections, not further worked than hot rolled, hot drawn or extruded, of a height of 80 mm or more, U sections Rs.2500 per 126 7216.32.007216.33.00. 7216.40.006.50.07216.50.00721.6.9.0007216.9.000 MTI sections Rs.2500 per MTH sections Rs.2500 per MTL or T sections, not further worked than Rs.2500 per hot rolled, hot drawn or extruded, of a MT height of 80 mm or more. Other angles, shapes and sections, not Rs.2500 per further worked than hot rolled, hot MT drawn or extruded angles, shapes, and sections, not further worked than cold formed or cold finished, obtained from flat rolled products Rs.2500 per MT, other Rs.2500 per MT, other cold formed or cold finished from flat Rs.2500 per rolled products MT, other Rs.2500 per MT 127 72.17217217.20.0072117.30.0072117.20.0072223.000.072.297229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0072229.20.0 9.20.907.307.007.307.19.00 wire of iron or non-alloy steel. Not plated or coated, whether or not Rs.2500 per polish MT plated or coated with zinc Rs.2500 per MT plated or coated with other base metal Rs.2500 per MT other Rs.2500 per MT wire of stainless steel.
Rs.2500 per mt wire of other alloy steel. Of silico-manganese steel Rs.2500 per mt other Rs.2500 per mt tube or pipe fittings, for example, couplings, elbows, sleeves, of iron or steel cast fittings, of non-malleable cast iron Rs.2500 per mt other Rs.2500 per 128 7307307307307.22007307307.910073007.93.0073007.99.007.07307.99.007.07307.990073007.99.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007.007. 0.08 mt. Other of stainless steel, flanges Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Threaded elbows, bends and sleeves Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Butt welding fittings Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Other Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Other flanges Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Threaded elbows, bends and sleeves Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Butt welding fittings Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Other Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Structures, excluding prefabricated buildings of heading 94.06, and parts of structures, for example, bridges and bridge sections, lock gates, towers, 123.09730.07308.20.07308.40.07308.40073009.00.007309.00 lattice masts, roofs, roofing frameworks, doors and windows and their frames and thresholds for doors, shutters, balustrades, pillars and columns, of iron or steel, plates, rods, angles, shapes, section, tubes and the like, prepared for use in structures, of iron or steel. Bridges and bridge sections Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Towers and lattice masts Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Doors, windows and their frames and Rs. 0.2500 per thresholds for doors. Mt. Equipment for scaffolding, shuttering, Rs. 0.2500 per propping or pit propping. Mt. Other Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Reservoirs, tanks, vats, and similar Rs. 0.2500 per containers for any material, other than Mt. Compressed or liquefied gas, of iron or steel, of a capacity exceeding 300 liters, whether or not lined or heat insulated, but not fitted with mechanical or thermal equipment. 130 73.11 73.12 73.13 73.14 7311.00.20 7311.00.90 7312.10.00 7312.90.00 7313.00.00 7314.12.00 LPG cylinders for compressed or 5 liquefied gas, of iron or steel for household, business, except industrial, purpose. LP gas cylinder. 5 other 5-stranded wire, ropes, cables, plated bands, slings and the like, of iron or steel, not electrically insulated. Stranded wire, ropes, and cable Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Other Rs. 0.2500 per mt. Barbed wire of iron or steel, twisted Rs. 0.2500 per hoop or single flat wire, barbed or not, mt. And loosely twisted double wire, of a kind used for fencing, of iron or steel. Cloth, including endless bands, grill, netting and fencing, of iron or steel. Wire, expanded metal of iron or steel. Woven cloth. Endless bands for machinery, of Rs. 0.2500 per stainless steel. Mt. 131 7314.14.00 7314.19.00 7314.20.00 7314.31.00 7314.39.00 7314.41.00 7314.42.00 7314.49.00 7314.50.00 Other woven cloth, of stainless steel Rs.2500 per mt, other Rs.2500 per mt grill, netting and fencing, welded at the Rs.2500 per intersection, of wire with a maximum mt cross-sectional dimension of 3 mm or more and having a mesh size of 100 square centimeters or more, other grill, netting and fencing, welded at the intersection, plated or coated with zinc Rs.2500 per mt, other Rs.2500 per mt, other cloth, grill, netting and fencing plated or coated with zinc Rs.2500 per mt, coated with plastics Rs.2500 per mt, other Rs.2500 per mt, expanded metal Rs.2500 per 132 7315.11.007315.20 7315.89.007315.80.007315.90.0007315.90.000 mt, chain and parts thereof, of iron or steel, articulated link chain and parts thereof, roller chain Rs.2500 per mt, other chain Rs.2500 per mt, parts Rs.2500 per mt, skid chain Rs.2500 per mt, other chain, stud link Rs.2500 per mt, other, welded link Rs.2500 per mt, other Rs.2500 per mt, other parts Rs.2500 per mt, nails, tacks, drawing pins, corrugated Rs.2500 per nails, staples, other than those of MT heading 83.05, and similar articles, of 133 iron or steel, whether or not with heads of other material, but excluding such articles with heads of copper 73.20, springs and leaves for springs, of iron or steel, leaf springs and leaves therefore, 7320.10.90, other 573.24, sanitary ware and parts thereof, of iron or steel 7324.10.00, sinks and wash basins, of stainless steel 5 bath 7324.21.00, of cast iron, whether or not enameled 57324.29.00, other 583.01, padlocks and locks, key, combination or electrically operated, of base metal, clasps and frames with clasps, incorporating locks, of base metal, keys for any of the foregoing articles, of base metal 8301.20.00, locks of a kind used for motor vehicles 583.02, base metal mountings, fittings, and similar articles suitable for furniture, doors, staircases, windows, blinds, 134 coachwork, saddlery, trunks, chests, caskets or the like, base metal. Hat racks, hat pegs, brackets and similar fixtures, casters with mountings of base metal, automatic door closers of base metal 8302.30.00, other mountings, fittings, and similar 5 articles suitable for motor vehicles 84.09, parts suitable for use solely or principally with the engines of heading 84.07 or 84.08. Other suitable for use solely or principally with spark ignition internal combustion piston engines 8409.91.10 of motor vehicle 5, other 8409.99.10 of motor vehicle 5, 84.13 pumps for liquids, whether or not fitted with a measuring device, liquid elevators 8413.30.00, fuel, lubricating or cooling medium 5 pumps for internal combustion piston engines 84.21, centrifuges, including centrifugal 135 dryers, filtering or purifying machinery and apparatus for liquids or gases, filtering or purifying machinery and apparatus for liquids 8421.23.00, oil or petrol filters for internal 5 combustion engines, filtering or purifying machinery and apparatus for gases 8421.31.00, intake air filters for internal combustion 5 engines 84.72, other office machines, for example, hectograph or stencil duplicating machines, addressing machines, automatic banknote dispensers,
coin sorting machines, coin counting or wrapping machines, pencil sharpening machines, perforating or stapling machines, other 8472.90.10. Automatic teller machine 15847.2.90.20. Automatic banknotes dispensers 15847.2.90.30. Perforating machines 15847.2.90.40. Stapling machines 15136.847.2.90.90. Others 1584.77. Machinery for working rubber or plastics or for the manufacture of products from these materials, not specified or included elsewhere in this chapter. 8477.10.00. Injection molding machines 584.79. Machines and mechanical appliances having individual functions, not specified or included elsewhere in this chapter. Other machines and machineries. Other 8479.89.91. Air humidifier and humidifier 58479.89.99. Other 1084.80. Molding boxes for metal foundry, mold bases, molding patterns, molds for metal, other than ingot molds, metal carbides, glass, mineral materials, rubber or plastics. Molds for rubber or plastics. 8480.71.00. Injection or compression types 5137. 84.81. Taps, cocks, valves and similar appliances for pipes, boiler shells, tanks, vats, or the like, including pressure-reducing valves and thermostatically controlled valves. 8481.10.00. Pressure-reducing valves 58481.20.00. Valves for oleohydraulic or pneumatic 5 transmissions. 8481.30.00. Check, non-return, valves 58481.40.00. Safety or relief valves 5 Other appliances. 8481.80.90. Other 585.07. Electric accumulators, including separators. Therefore, whether or not rectangular, including square. 8507.10.00. Lead acid, of a kind used for starting 10-piston engines. 8507.20.00. Other lead acid accumulators. 10850.7.30.00. Nickel cadmium 5. 8507.40.00. Nickel iro 58507.50.00. Nickel metal hydride 5 Other accumulator 138. 8507.80.10. Power bank, battery pack, 10850.7.80.90. Other 1085.08. Vacuum cleaners with automatic motors. 8508.11.00. Of a power not exceeding 1500 W and 5 having a dust bag or other receptacle capacity not exceeding 20 liters. 8508.19.00. Other 58508.60.00. Other vacuum cleaners 58508.70.00. Parts 585.11. Electrical ignition or starting equipment of a kind used for spark ignition or compression ignition. Internal combustion engines, for example, ignition magnetos, magnetodynamos, ignition coils, sparking plugs and glow plugs, starter motors, generators, for example, dynamos, alternators, and cutouts of a kind used in conjunction with such engines. 8511.10.00. Sparking plugs 58511.30.00. Distributors, ignition coils 58511.40.00. Starter motors and dual-purpose 5139. Starter generators 8511.50.00. Other generators 58511.80.00. Other equipments 585.12. Electrical lighting or signaling equipment, excluding articles of heading. 85.39, windscreen wipers, defrosters and demi-stirs, of a kind used for cycles or motor vehicles. 8512.10.00. Lighting or visual signaling equipment 5 of a kind used on bicycles. 8512.20.00. Other lighting or visual signaling 5 equipment. 8512.30.00. Sound signaling equipment 58512.40.00. Windscreen wipers, defrosters, and 5 demi-stirs 8512.90.00 parts 585.13 portable electric lamps designed to function by their own source of energy, for example, dry batteries, accumulators, magnetos. Other than lighting equipment of heading 85.128513.10.00 lamps 585.17 telephone sets, including telephones for 140 cellular networks or for other wireless networks, other apparatus for the transmission or reception of voice, images, or other data, including apparatus for communication in a wired or wireless network, such as a local or wide area network, other than transmission or reception apparatus of heading 84.43, 85.25, 85.27, or 85.28 telephone sets, including telephones for cellular networks or for other wireless networks, 8517.12.00 telephones for cellular networks or for 2.5 other wireless networks, other apparatus for transmission or reception of voice, images, or other data, including apparatus for communication in a wired or wireless network, such as a local or wide area network 8517.61.00 base stations 5 machines for the reception, conversion, and transmission or regeneration of voice, images or other data, including switching and routing apparatus 141 8517.62.10. Smartwatch 158517.62.20 networking switch 58517.62.30 router 58517.62.90 other 58517.69.00 other 58517.70.00 parts 1085.18 microphones and stands therefore, loudspeakers, whether or not mounted in their enclosures, headphones and earphones, whether or not combined with a microphone, and sets consisting of a microphone and one or more loudspeakers, audio frequency electric amplifiers, electric sound amplifier sets 8518.10.00 microphones and stands therefore 10 loudspeakers, whether or not mounted in their enclosures, 8518.21.00 single loudspeakers, mounted in their 10 enclosures 8518.22.00 multiple loudspeakers, mounted in the 10 same enclosures 8518.29.00 other 10 8518.30.00 headphones and earphones, whether or 10 142 not combined with a microphone, and sets consisting of a microphone and one or more loudspeakers 8518.40.00 audio frequency electric amplifiers 10 8518.50.00 electric sound amplifier sets 1085.23 discs, tapes, solid-state non-volatile storage devices, smart cards and other media for the recording of sound or of other phenomena, whether or not recorded, including matrices and masters for the production of discs, but excluding products of Chapter 37 magnetic media, 8523.29.00 other 5 optical media, 8523.41.00 unrecorded 5 other 8523.49.10 with software 58523.49.90 other 5 semiconductor media, 8523.51.00 solid-state non-volatile storage devices 5 smart cards 143 8523.52.10 SIM card 58523.52.20 memory card 58523.52.90 other 58523.59.00 other 5 other 8523.80.00 other 585.25 transmission apparatus for radio broadcasting or television, whether or not incorporating reception apparatus or sound recording or reproducing apparatus, television cameras, digital cameras, and video camera recorders 8525.60.00 transmission apparatus incorporating 5 reception apparatus television cameras, digital cameras and video camera recorders 8525.80.10 television cameras 58525.80.20 digital cameras 58525.80.30 video camera recorders 58525.80.90 other 5
85.28 monitors and projectors, not incorporating television reception. 144 apparatus, reception apparatus for television, whether or not incorporating radio broadcast receivers or sound or video recording or reproducing apparatus and projectors. 8528.62.00 capable of directly connecting to and designed for use with an automatic data processing machine. Of heading 84.71 reception apparatus for television, whether or not incorporating radio broadcast receivers or sound or video recording or reproducing apparatus. Other, color 8528.72.10 of unassembled status. 10.8528.72.90 other. 10.85.29 parts suitable for use solely or principally with the apparatus. Of headings 85.25 to 85.28 other. 8529.90.10 of television receiver. 10.85.31 electric sound or visual signaling apparatus, for example, bells, sirens, 145 indicator panels, burglar or fire alarms, other than those of heading 85.12 or 85.30. 8531.20.00 indicator panels incorporating liquid 10 crystal devices, LCD, or light emitting diodes, LED, 8531.90.00 parts. 10.85.32 electrical capacitors, fixed variable or adjustable, preset, 8532.10.00 fixed capacitors designed for use in 10 and 50/60 Hz circuits and having a reactive power handling capacity of not less than 0.5 kVAR, power capacitors, other fixed capacitors, 8532.21.00 tantalum. 10.8532.22.00 aluminium electrolytic. 10.8532.23.00 ceramic dielectric, single layer. 10.8532.24.00 ceramic dielectric, multi-layer. 10.8532.25.00 dielectric of paper or plastics. 10.8532.29.00 other. 10.8532.30.00 variable or adjustable, preset, 10 capacitors. 146 8532.90.00 parts. 10.85.33 electrical resistors, including rheostats and potentiometers, other than heating resistors. 8533.10.00 fixed carbon resistors, composition or 10 film types. Other fixed resistors, 8533.21.00 for a power handling capacity not 10 exceeding 20 W. 8533.29.00 other. 10 wire wound variable resistors, including rheostats and potentiometers, 8533.31.00 for a power handling capacity not 10 exceeding 20 W. 8533.39.00 other. 10.8533.40.00 other variable resistors, including 10 rheostats and potentiometers. 8533.90.00 parts. 10.85.34 8534.00.00 printed circuits. 10.85.36 electrical apparatus for switching or protecting electrical circuits, or for making connections to or in electrical circuits, for example, switches, relays, 147 fuses, surge suppressors, plugs, sockets, lamp holders and other connectors, junction boxes, for a voltage not exceeding 1000 volts, connectors for optical fibers, optical fiber bundles or cables. 8536.50.00 other switches. 15 lamp holders, plugs and sockets, 8536.69.00 other. 15 8536.90.00 other apparatus. 1585.40 thermionic, cold cathode or photocathode valves and tubes, for example, vacuum or vapor or gas-filled valves and tubes, mercury arc rectifying valves and tubes, cathode ray tubes, television camera tubes, cathode ray television picture tubes, including video monitor cathode ray tubes. 8540.11.00 color. 585.43 electrical machines and apparatus, having individual functions, not specified or included elsewhere in this chapter.
148 other machinery and apparatus 8543.70.10 electronic cigarette 3085.44 insulated, including enameled or anodized, wire, cable, including coaxial cable, and other insulated electric conductors, whether or not fitted with connectors, optical fiber cables, made up of individually sheathed fibers, whether or not assembled with electric conductors or fitted with connectors other electric conductors, for a voltage not exceeding 1000 V, 8544.42.00 fitted with connectors 158544.49.00 other 8544.70.00 optical fiber cables 1087.02 motor vehicles for the transport of 10 or more persons, including the driver with only compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel 8702.10.10 buses, with a capacity more than 25 seats, 8702.10.20 minibuses, with a capacity 15 to 25 seats, 35149 8702.10.30 microbuses, with a capacity 11 to 14 seats, 55702.10.41 of unassembled status 68702.10.49 other 60 with both compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel, and electric motor as motors for propulsion, 8702.20.10 buses, with a capacity more than 25 seats, 8702.20.20 minibuses, with a capacity 15 to 25 seats, 35872.20.30 microbuses, with a capacity 11 to 14 seats, 48702.20.41 of unassembled status 48702.20.49 other 40 with both spark ignition internal combustion reciprocating piston engine and electric motor as motors for propulsion, 8702.30.10 buses, with a capacity more than 25 seats, 8702.30.20 minibuses, with a capacity 15 to 25 seats, 35872.30.30 microbuses, with a capacity 11 to 14 seats, 40 Jeep, car, and vans 158,702.30.41 of unassembled status 48,702.30.49 other 40 other 8702.90.10 buses, with a capacity more than 25 seats 8702.90.20 minibuses, with a capacity 15 to 25 seats, 35872.90.30 microbuses, with a capacity 11 to 14 seats, 55702.90.41 of unassembled status 68702.90.49 other 6087.03 motor cars and other motor vehicles principally designed for the transports of persons, other than those of heading 87.02, including station wagons and racing cars. Vehicles specially designed for traveling on snow, golf cars and similar vehicles 8703.10.10 vehicles specially designed for snow 68703.10.90 other 60 other vehicles, with only spark ignition internal combustion reciprocating piston engine, 151 of a cylinder capacity not exceeding 1000 cubic centimeters, three-wheeler vehicles, auto 55 rickshaws, 8703.21.11 of unassembled status 55873.21.19 other 55 other 8703.21.91 of unassembled status 68703.21.99 other 60 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 1000 cubic centimeters, but not exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters 8703.22.10 of unassembled status 65873.22.90 other 65 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 3000 cubic centimeters of a cylinder capacity exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 2000 cubic centimeters 8703.23.11 of unassembled status
status 78,703.23.19 other 70 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 2000 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 2500 cubic centimeters 8703.23.21 of unassembled status 8152 8703.23.29 other 80 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 2500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 3000 cubic centimeters 8703.23.31 of unassembled status 98703.23.39 other 90 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 3000 cubic centimeters 8703.24.10 of unassembled status 100 other 100 other vehicles, with only compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel of a cylinder capacity not exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters 8703.31.10 of unassembled status 68703.31.90 other 60 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 2500 cubic centimeters of a cylinder capacity exceeding 1500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 2000 cubic centimeters 8703.32.11 of unassembled status 70. 8703.32.19 other 70 153 8703.32.21 8703.32.29 8703.33.10 8703.33.90 8703.40.10 8703.40.90 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 2000 price percent cc but not exceeding 2500 cubic centimeters 85 of unassembled status 85 other 85 of a cylinder capacity exceeding 2500 cubic centimeters of unassembled status 100 other vehicles, with both spark ignition internal combustion reciprocating piston engine and electric motor as motors for propulsion, other than those capable of being charged by plugging to external source of electric power of unassembled status 40 other vehicles, with both compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel, and electric motor as motors for propulsion, other than those capable of being charged by plugging to external source of electric power 154 8703.50.10 of unassembled status 40 8703.50.90 other 40 other vehicles, with both spark ignition internal combustion reciprocating piston engine and electric motor as motors for propulsion, capable of being charged by plugging to external source of electric power 8703.60.10 of unassembled status 40 8703.60.90 other 40 other vehicles, with both compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel, and electric motor as motors for propulsion, capable of being charged by plugging to external source of electric power 8703.70.10 of unassembled status 40 8703.70.90 other 40 other 8703.90.10 of unassembled status 60 8703.90.90 other 60 87.04 motor vehicles for the transport of goods 8704.10.00 dumpers designed for off-highway use 5155 other, with compression ignition internal combustion piston engine, diesel or semi-diesel GVW not exceeding 5 tons, 8704.21.10 double cab pickup principally designed 60 for the transport of goods and having more than 2 seats including driver for the transportation of persons 8704.21.20 single cab pickup principally designed 50 for the transport of goods and having 2 seats including driver 8704.21.30 delivery van 3704.21.40 Three-wheelers vehicle 58704.21.90 other 5 net weight of vehicle, G.V.W, more than 5 tons 8704.22.10 double cab pickup principally designed 60 for the transport of goods and having more than 2 seats including driver for the transportation of persons other 8704.22.91 double cab pickup principally designed 5 for the transport of goods and having 156 more than 2 seats including driver for the transportation of persons 8704.22.92 closed truck fitted with chassis 5 8704.22.93 bullet tank. Fitted with chassis, specially 5 designed for transporting liquid petroleum gas 8704.22.94 garbage compactor for waste collection 5 and transport installed with truck chassis 8704.22.95 cement bulker 5 8704.22.96 refrigerating system installed 5 8704.22.99 other 5 8704.23.00 GVW exceeding 20 tons 5 other, with spark ignition internal combustion piston engine, GVW not exceeding 5 tons 8704.31.103 wheelers vehicle 38704.31.20 delivery van 38704.31.90 other 38704.32.00 GVW. Exceeding 5 tons 5 other 8704.90.10 equipped with refrigerating system 5 8704.90.90 other 5 157 87.06 chassis fitted with engines, for the motor vehicles of headings 87.01 to 87.05 8706.00.20 of minibuses, with a capacity 15 to 35 seats, 8706.00.30 of microbuses, with a capacity 11 to 55 seats, 8706.00.40 of Jeep, car, and van 68706.00.50 of three-wheeler vehicles, auto 55 rickshaws, of pickup vehicles 8706.00.61 of double cab 68706.00.62 of single cab 58706.00.63 of delivery van 8706.00.70 of dumpers designed for off-highway 5 use 8706.00.80 of bus, trucks 5870.00.90 other 587.07 bodies, including cabs, for the motor vehicles of headings 87.01 to 87.05 8707.10.00 for the vehicles of heading 87.035 8707.90.00 other 5 158 87.11 motorcycles, including mopeds, and cycles fitted with an auxiliary motor with or without sidecars, 8711.10.00 with reciprocating internal combustion 40 piston engine of a cylinder capacity not exceeding 50 cubic centimeters with reciprocating internal combustion piston engine of a cylinder capacity exceeding 50 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 250 cubic centimeters, of unassembled condition 8711.20.11 exceeding 50 cubic centimeters but not 125 cubic centimeters 48711.20.12 exceeding 125 cubic centimeters but not 200 cubic centimeters 48711.20.19 exceeding 200 cubic centimeters but not 250 cubic centimeters 40 other 8711.20.91 exceeding 50 cubic centimeters but not 125 cubic centimeters 48711.20.92 exceeding 125 cubic centimeters but not 200 cubic centimeters 58711.20.99 exceeding 200 cubic centimeters but not 250 cubic centimeters 60 with reciprocating internal combustion piston engine of a cylinder capacity exceeding 250 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 500 cubic centimeters, 8711.30.10 of unassembled condition 4159 8711.30.90 other 88711.40.00 with reciprocating internal combustion 100 piston engine of a cylinder capacity exceeding 500 cubic centimeters but not exceeding 800 cubic centimeters 8711.50.00 with reciprocating internal combustion 100 piston engine of a cylinder capacity exceeding 800 cubic centimeters 8711.90.00 other 4090.10 apparatus and equipment for photographic, including cinematographic, laboratories not specified or included elsewhere in this chapter. Negatoscopes, projection screens 9010.90.00 parts and accessories 1090.11 compound optical microscopes, including those for photomicrography, cinephotomicrography, or microprojection 9011.10.00 stereoscopic microscopes 59011.20.00 other microscopes, photomicrography, cinephotomicrography for 5 or 160 microprojection 9011.90.00 parts and accessories 590.12 microscopes other than optical microscopes, diffraction apparatus 9012.10.00 microscopes other than optical 5 microscopes, diffraction apparatus 9012.90.00 parts and accessories 590.17 drawing, marking out or mathematical calculating instruments, for example, drafting machines, pantographs, protractors, drawing sets, slide rules, disc calculators, instruments for measuring length, for use in the hand, for example, measuring rods and tapes, micrometers, calipers, not specified or included elsewhere in this chapter 9017.20.00 other drawing, marking out or 5 mathematical calculating instruments 9017.90.00 parts and accessories 590.26 instruments and apparatus for measuring or checking the flow, level, pressure, or other variables of liquids or gases, for example, flow meters, level gauges, manometers, heat meters, excluding 161 instruments and apparatus of heading 90.14, 90.15, 90.28, or 90.32. 9026.10.00 for measuring or checking the flow or 5 level of liquids 9026.20.00 for measuring or checking pressure 59026.80.00 other instruments or apparatus 59026.90.00 parts and accessories 590.30 oscilloscopes, spectrum analyzers, and other instruments and apparatus for measuring or checking electrical quantities, excluding meters of heading 90.28, instruments and apparatus for measuring or detecting alpha, beta, gamma, X-ray, cosmic or other ionizing radiations 9030.40.00 other instruments and apparatus, 5 specially designed for telecommunications, for example, crosstalk meters, gain measuring instruments, distortion factor meters, cephalometers, 9030.90.00 parts and accessories 594.01 seats, other than those of heading 94.02, whether or not convertible into beds, and parts thereof. 162.940.1.20.00 seats of a kind used for motor vehicle 10.940.1.30.00 swivel seats with variable height 10 adjustment 940.1.40.00 seats other than garden seats or camping 10 equipment, convertible into bed seats of cane, osier, bamboo or similar material 940.1.52.00 of bamboo 10.940.1.53.00 of rattan 10.940.1.59.00 other 10 other seats, with wooden frames, 940.1.61.00 upholstered 10.940.1.69.00 other 10 other seats, with metal frames 940.1.71.00 upholstered 10.940.1.79.00 other 10 other seats 940.1.80.90.
Other 1094.03 Other furniture and parts there 0940.10.00 Metal furniture of a kind used in office 10 Other metal furniture 163 9403.20.90 Other 109403.30.00 Wooden furniture of a kind used in 10 offices 9403.40.00 Wooden furniture of a kind used in the 10 kitchen 9403.50.00 Wooden furniture of a kind used in the 10 bedroom 9403.60.00 Other wooden furniture 10 Furniture of plastic 9403.70.20 Baby walker 10 9403.70.90 Other 10 Furniture of other materials, including cane, osier, bamboo or similar materials 9403.82.00 of bamboo 10 9403.83.00 of rattan 10 9403.89.00 Other 1094.06 Prefabricated building of wood 9406.10.90 Other 10 Other 9406.90.90 Other 10 164.95.0395.03.00.00 Tricycles, scooters, pedal cars, and 5 similar wheeled toys, dolls carriages, dolls, other toys, reduced size, scale, models and similar recreational models, working or not, puzzles of all kinds 95.04 Video game consoles and machines, articles for funfair, table or parlor games, including pintables, billiards, special tables for casino games and automatic bowling alley equipment 9504.20.00 Articles and accessories for billiards of 5 all kinds 9504.30.00 Other games, operated by coins, 5 banknotes, bank cards, tokens or by any other means of payment 9504.40.00 Playing cards 5950.50.00 Video game consoles and machines, 5 other than those of subheading 9504.30950.90.00 Other 595.05 Festive, carnival or other entertainment articles, including conjuring tricks and novelty jokes 9505.10.00. Articles for Christmas festivities 5165 9505.10.10 of felt 59505.10.90 Other 59505.90.00 Other 5 Note 1. The excise duty for liquor shall be calculated in per LP liter or per liter and shall be recovered in a rate whichever is high. 2. The charge rate shall be applicable in accordance with the subheading 2206.00.40 if any liquor is made cocktail. 3. No excise duty shall be imposed on an ambulance, vehicle carrying corpse, scooter made for the use of persons with disability and chassis of tempo operated by battery. Excise duty paid in the importation or local purchase of the scooter to be used by a person with disability shall be refunded by the concerned customs officer upon recommendation of the Ministry of Women, Children, and Senior Citizens or the Chief District Officer of the concerned district and by the concerned customs office if imported and by the department if purchased locally, where it has been registered in his or her name with the Department of Transport Management. 4. No excise duty shall be applicable to non-instant noodles produced from domestic technology. 5. No excise duty shall be imposed on goods of personal use imported by enjoying exemption of custom tariff facility under the notice related to goods for personal use to be brought and taken by the travelers. 166. 6. Exemption of excise duty shall be granted to the importation of a finished bus and its chassis having seat capacity of 40 or more, minimum 5 in number, by a cooperative or organization and company being registered for operation of public transport. No vehicle so imported may not be sold, transmitted, or ownership thereof transferred by any other means for up to 10 years from the date of such importation. Full excise duty under the prevailing law shall be imposed if so sold, transmitted, or transferred prior to 10 years. 7. Exemption of excise duty shall be granted to the importation of a bus with a capacity of 30 seats or more by a community education institute for transportation of its students, upon recommendation of the Government of Nepal, Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. No vehicle so imported may be sold, transmitted, or ownership thereof transferred by any other means for up to 10 years from the date of such importation. 8. There shall be 80% exemption in the excise duty in production of brandy and wine produced by the industry based on local fruits established in underdeveloped region as referred in Schedule 10 of the Industrial Enterprises Act, 2020. 9. There shall be exemption of 35% in excise duty in wine falling under headings 22.04 and 22.05 and 40% in cider and wine produced by other than grapes falling under subheading 2206.00.90 under heading 22.06 produced in the nation. 167. 10. There shall be exemption of 50% of excise duty in importation of unassembled vehicles falling under headings 87.02, 87.03, and 87.11 by the industry producing vehicle assembling the parts and finished vehicle sold by such industry. 11. No excise duty shall be imposed on internal production of goods falling under headings 02.01, 02.02, 02.03, 02.04, 02.05, 02.06, 02.07, 02.08, 02.09, 02.10, 3.04, 03.05, 03.06, 03.07, 03.08, 08.01, 08.02, 08.04, 08.06, 08.09, 08.12, 08.13, 09.06, 16.02, 16.03, 16.04, 16.05, 20.01, 20.02, 20.03, 20.04, 20.06, 20.07, 20.08, 21.05, 24.01, 25.15, 25.16, 39.17, 44.12, 68.02, 72.07, 72.09, 72.11, 72.13, 72.14, 72.15, 72.16, 72.17, 72.23, 72.29, 73.07, 73.08, 73.09, 73.12, 73.13, 73.14, 73.15. 73.17, 73.24, 94.01, 94.03, and 94.06 and under subheadings 1404.90.30, 1601.00.00, 1701.13.10, 1701.14.10, 1704.10.00, 1704.90.00, 1905.90.302005.10.00, 2005.20.90, 2005.40.00, 2005.51.00, 2005.59.00, 2005.60.00, 2005.70.00, 2005.80.00, 2005.91.00, 2005.99.00, 2101.11.00, 2101.12.00, 2101.20.00, 2101.30.00, 2106.90.10, 3921.90.11, 3921.90.92, 3923.10.20,
3924.10.10, 6404.11.10, 6405.20.10, 7311.00.20, 7311.00.90, 7320.10.90, 8507.10.00, 8507.20.00, 8544.70.00, 9406.10.90, and 9406.90.90. 12. Excise duty shall be imposed on per kilogram of net weight of goods under subheadings 2403.99.10, 2403.99.20, and 2403.99.30 of the heading 24.03 and 2106.90.20, 2106.90.70 of the heading 21.06. 13. The importer or licensee seller of liquor, beer, and cigarette shall inform the retail price of sale at the beginning of the fiscal year and 168 if a change in price, immediately after the change by publishing a public notice. 14. The Director General may add the digit in the determined 8 digits subheading of rate of excise duty for the purpose of statistics. 15. The Department may interpret the goods subject to excise duty and prescribe the harmonized code in consultation with the Custom Department, as per necessity. 169.